Thunder, 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 thunderhead, ho!
Oh, it's you. Oh my god. What? But this is Friday. What the hell? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Go ahead and let me put Pretzel on before you realize that I alone am just not that entertaining. It's really the background music. It's really the background music that does it. By the way, Colonel Matthew Steiner, I would like to go ahead and answer your bachal, and I would like to bid one cat go to work. I think that'll be more than enough. I had a blue screen of death right before this, like fucking 5 minutes ago, as I was fooling with all my audio equipment. That was fun. It was a little spooky. A little spooky, a little scary. But we got there. We got there anyway. How's the mic sounding tonight? Everything okay? All the levels good? What do we got? Project Dark Fox. Puck Duncher. Colonel Matthew Steiner. Roland. Cybran Knight. Is there sound? There better be sound right now. If there isn't, then I'll be irritated. Let me go down and check my levels. Yeah, it should. Okay. Well, it's just you, Cybran Knight. Maybe you're deaf. I don't know. I don't judge people on things like that. You know, if you want that kind of a stream, you're gonna have to go someplace else. Oh, doing a little bit of last-minute prep work. I've been airbrushing shit all day today. Well, not all day today. Actually, I spent most of my day outside. Getting the tractors into shape after the winter. Had a pretty unfortunate experience firing one of those up. My face cam seems dark. Strangely dark. Let's fix that. Painting face cam. Let's configure your video. And just raise the gain just a wee little bit. Yeah? Boop, 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 boop. Oh my god, you can see me. It's me. Hi everybody. How's everybody doing today? Guys, it means so much that I take a day off and the very next day people are jonesing and scratching at their arms and like robbing their loved ones for pocket change to get their fix of Thunderhead. If you will accept that characterization of your conduct, it's not patronizing at all. No. Not even in the slightest. Guys, I want to talk to you about something real briefly before we get started, and that is that I am a creature of whimsy. And that is to say that I'm very much at the mercy of my whims, particularly as it comes to painting and artistic endeavors. And my whims can be fickle. I don't know if Playin Win's around. I hope Playin Win shows up. He wanted to see me paint some lightsabers. Well, he's going to get some lightsaber painting today. But Playin Win and Greg, the salt miner, could both confirm that my whims will fluctuate sometimes very rapidly. One day I'll be, this game is the best thing in the world, and the next game I'm like, fuck that company, I want to steal everything from them and ruin them, which, of course, I never am able to do, because nobody gives a shit what I think, and I don't spend that much money. Shenanigans. Shenanigans and malarkey. Irish curse words. Yes, indeed those are. Colonel Matt Steiner, thank you so much for the biddies, man, getting things started. See, Playin Win knows. He knows very well how this cycle goes, and even when I get on a pretty good roll with a game, sometimes another whim will come along and just blindside the shit out of me. I've got the games that I always come back to. I've got those rock-solid games that have been with me. I think what distinguishes them is that I got into them in like the 90s when I was fairly young. Battletech is one of those, because I played Battletech with my older brothers in the 90s with little paper standees when I had no fucking idea what was going on. And then I got into... What's up, Kursala? Good to see you. Steiner Miniatures, I just got on, man. We just got started. I mean, like, I think the two that really stand out are Battletech and Warhammer 40k, and as a result, they're also the two that I hate the most, because if there's one thing that defines me, it's unironically hating the things that I actually love. I'm a complex guy. Light and dark, you know? Fucking up and down. Light side, dark side, yin and yang, Coke and Pepsi, dogs and cats, right? complicated stuff. Very David Lynch, if you will. I shouldn't say that. I don't understand any of David Lynch's work. It pretty much just hurts my head and makes me want to throw up a little bit in my mouth. But, so yeah, what I'm getting at here is, I am on a Star Wars kick right now. It is fucking crazy. I just started rewatching the Clone Wars from the beginning, trying to ramp up into getting into the new season of Clone Wars they've got on Disney Plus, and this is coming out of a multi-month period where I was just like, fucking death to everything Star Wars, I'm never going back. Which, let me also say this, Play and Win also knows this. When I say things like that, when I reach the point where I say things like, I'm never going back, no, I'm done with it, I'm excising it from my life, that is peak bullshit for me. That is like the pinnacle of my nonsense. I am lying to you when I say that. In fact, when I say that, what I mean is, I'll be back to this thing inevitably because I can't stop thinking about it. That's just how it goes. But yeah, Battletech and 40k are my real rocks, and like I said, it's because I got into them when I was very young. Playing MechWarrior 4 in the early 2000s and 3 in the 90s, and playing Battletech on the table with my brothers. It was one of the first tabletop games I ever played, around the same time I got into Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is not one of my rocks, by the way. I fucking hate that game. I swore it off in high school. I've never gone back. And by never gone back, I mean I went back once or twice, but it was very brief. It was very brief. And then I sold them, made a bunch of money, and what keeps me from getting back into that is that it's expensive. It's very expensive. And difficult to catch up on the meta. Nobody wants to do that. So right now, I'm really into a Star Wars kick. And you know, I just gotta ride these cycles while I got them, because I'm the most productive when I just do whatever the fuck I want to do. Second month already? Oh my god! Commissar Iguana, has it been that long? Thank you so much for resubscribing. I appreciate that, man. Last time I tried to paint a lightsaber, it looked like a pool noodle. They don't make good pool noodles. I've tried that. Very complex character. You need a brain the size of a house to understand, and then you need another brain at the bottom of your spine like a dinosaur, even though they didn't have those, apparently. Colonel Matthew Steiner, with a 2-month subscription. Man, we're hitting a threshold. This is amazing. Had such a hard-on for 40k, got my KS tattoo in my 20s. Let me tell you a brief... Cat Ion. Cat with the... Oh my god. 3 months. 3 months? How does the time fly so quickly? I want to tell you a brief story about Warhammer 40k, and one of the reasons that it is also one of my rocks, even though it is, again, one that I'll be like, I fucking hate Games Workshop, I hate 40k, is stupid, you dirt, like, that's me. A lot of the... How are we on Hype Train level 1 already? What's happening? It's all the subscriptions. You guys. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I lack the words. I lack the words to express my appreciation. So, I'm with my family, and I'm in Stirling. Stirling's in Ireland, right? It's embarrassing to have to ask that, but I'm pretty sure Stirling is in Ireland. Anyway, we're in Stirling. And we had just visited the castle of Stirling, which was fascinating and delightful. And we got to see one of the changing of the guards, where they march and they do their thing and they salute and they change positions real quick, and it's all very, very choreographed and very entertaining. And we had just seen that, and we're walking down the Puck Duncher, keeping the hype train going. My god, you guys, you flatter me. We're walking down the road, and I'm maybe 13 at the time, maybe. And I look over to my left. We're walking down this sort of pedestrian's avenue with shops on either side, and I see a store called Games Workshop. I've never heard of this before in my life. I think to myself, what? Is it in Scotland? Okay, see, I apologize to any European viewers. Or any Islanders, any Britons, any Saxons, you know, if we have any Saxons around, I apologize, you know? I apologize not only for that, but also for the invasion of William the Conqueror, you know? It's a little late, but, you know, there it is. So, I see this place called Games Workshop, and the young me goes, what the hell could this possibly be? Project Dark Fox, thank you so much. And I go in, and I realize now, at this point in my life, like, I used to describe, like, and there are these guys, you know, with a little bit of a gut and big beards and these nerdy t-shirts on, and more as my life has gone on, I realize I'm just describing myself. So, maybe I should think on that. Anyway, so I walk in and there's a bunch of guys that look just like me now. And they're moving these little figures around on the tabletop, and they're not using a hex, and they're not paper standees, which had been my experience with it before. And there was an Eldar army and a Space Marine army. I remember that very, very specifically. There were a few Chaos Space Marines, because I remember thinking, why does that guy have horns? That's fucking crazy. And that began something in my life that has continued to this day. That moment defined so much of my imagination for the rest of my life. I think it's kind of incredible. Also got in a lot of trouble with my parents because I really just sort of turned and walked away into the Games Workshop, and it took them some time to realize where I had gone. But a formative experience, nonetheless. That's really the reason that 40K is one of my staples. I keep coming back around to it. But really all of that was just to explain that right now, man, Star Wars has got me. And Legion it's a fun game. It's not like, it's got its problems. What game doesn't have its problems? But it's really enjoyable, and it's easy enough to play. Particularly right now when the only in-person opponent that I have is my wife. And she's a good sport. And she's actually pretty good at tabletop games. She surprises me every now and then and gets me with something I'm not seeing. But the last time I was into Legion, I didn't have a 3D printer. And now I do. And I'm printing some things for it. You've seen some of the terrain I'm doing, but I started running my resin printer. It's been hard to get B2 battle droids because of the whole China thing. The production has been slowed down, but I did find a B2 battle droid model online that is very, very posable. And so I've been making some of my own B2 battle droids. Because the only reason not to is if you're going to go play in an FFG tournament, and that is something that I am not going to do. I'm not going to do it. I've run too many FFG tournaments. I've participated in too many FFG tournaments. I'm done. I'm over with that bullshit. So I'm printing some of my own replacements in the meantime. And there's also some really good files from, what's his name? Skullforge Studios. I painted a couple of models from Skullforge Studios in 2018 for a friend to use as a... What's a tournament prize. It was for San Japan in San Antonio, and then I guess they got repurposed for LVO later on, which is funny because I posted pictures of them in the Star Wars Legion Discord, and people jumped all over that. By the way, I should get a link for that up. The Star Wars Legion Discord is a fantastic Discord, by the way. Very large, very well moderated. If you're at all interested in Legion, I suggest you join it. But he's made several models since the ones that I painted from Skullforge, like these that I've been printing out. These pretty cool. So they call them Mud Troopers, the ones from Rogue One, but they're Imperial Army regulars, you guys. Mud Trooper is maybe the most egregious example of Star Wars marketing stormtrooper names. It's just so fucking stupid. Like, yeah, they've got troopers whose sole purpose is being in the mud. No, guys, that's not a thing. That's not a thing at all. That's ridiculous. They're Imperial Army regulars. But they have this whole set of them, and they're very, very cool. And I'm thinking about running them as snowtroopers, because they have a lot of the similar weapons. And then this one that a friend of mine showed to me, and I just got printed today, which is Agent Callus from Star Wars Rebels. It is such a cool miniature, you guys. Look, he even has the helmet on. The one with the, like, Roman cheek plates that cover his fucking epic mutton chops. I don't know if you guys have watched Rebels. It's a cool show. It's really neat. And I thought Agent Callus was a really cool character. But, getting to the meat of things, besides all these Star Wars minis that I've been printing. Move these guys out of my way here. Still in my way, but less in my way. We are going to be working a bit tonight on Grievous. Probably going to be a little bit of a short stream, because I got to go get dinner here at some point. I just kind of scarfed some stuff down after doing a bunch of tractor maintenance today. But I started on General Grievous last night, getting his level 1 hype train emote. I don't even know what the level 1 hype train emote is. It must be good. But I just started getting his underwork done, and with metallic parts like this at 28mm scale, I like to use metallic paints, and I always feel a little guilty because I'm like, I should spend more time working on the details, but I don't really need to. Oh, look, I switched his feet. You can actually see it in the way his heel is lifted up there. I used the wrong feet on the wrong side for this model, but it's fine. I'm just gonna live with it. But now I gotta do 4 lightsabers, because those are really gonna be, like, I figured the focal points of this model are gonna be the eyes, because the armor plates and the under bits there's not a whole lot you can do with those, and I don't want to focus too much on them or put too much detail, because they're just, it's undercarriage stuff. There's no coal black involved so far. I haven't touched this guy with coal black. There was coal black involved. There will be. I'm using coal black for the bases for my clankers. Which, these guys, I thought came out really nice. These B1 battle droids, considering this is like a 4-step process. Like, this is prime, zenithal, shade real quick through an airbrush with some AP tones, and then I come over and I dry brush them once, I do a couple detailed touch-ups, and they're fucking done. Like, this paint job is over. But there are so many B1 battle droids, I am not willing to spend a lot of time on each individual one. I simply am not. There are files for Republic Commandos. There's both the ones on Thingiverse and their Downslide. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in. There are also ones from Skullforge Studios, which he doesn't charge. He's on Gumroad, and he doesn't charge that much, honestly, for his models. And the Republic Commandos that he's made in a bunch of different poses with a bunch of different weapons are really good looking. I like a lot of his miniatures. I'm thinking about picking some more up and printing them, honestly. He has an alternate Luke in the flight suit from Empire Strikes Back that I'm very interested in printing. I think that could be a lot of fun. I don't have a link up for him. Kat, would you do me a favor? Would you go and find Skullforge Studios on Gumroad and pop a link up for me real quick? Because I'd like to link him a few times. I've got a lot of his stuff. And yes, and that is accurate. I am printing another Tarkin Town shanty. I've got 8 of them right now. I feel like I need 3 or 4 more, and then some rocks, and I'll have enough to populate a table. Play and Win is all over it. That makes sense. He likes his stuff too. Skullforge Studios, really high quality work, and you know, all of them have printed beautifully too. I've had no issues printing the Imperial Army regulars. Agent Callus came out beautifully. I mean, I'm really impressed with his stuff. I will definitely go back to him. So anyway, there's your B1 battle droids. I also got 1 squad of clones done so far. Both of these squads I did. This is how I do when I'm batch painting armies, is I've got to do 1 squad first to establish, okay, this is how I'm painting the squads. And I finally got these guys to a point where I'm pretty happy with them. I think the Sergeant came out pretty good with the sort of yellow, green, olive markings on his armor. And then I went ahead and did... I based the bases. See what I did there? Because it's funny. On Utapau from Episode 3, even though they're Phase 1 clone troopers, because I don't give a fuck. Fuck the police, and fuck the clones, while we're at it. But I wanted to do something a little bit more interesting with the base, and this is actually really easy. It was really easy to throw together. It was really easy to print out. I get to put washers in their bases, which is so fucking... I always do this, though. By now, you guys should know all my minis have washers in the bases just because of the way it balances them. But I think these came out really nice, so... I've got my process established, and I'm going to be doing some batch painting. I'm not going to do it on stream because I don't think you guys want to watch batch painting. I wouldn't want to watch batch painting. Play and Win's name actually is Cat. That's little known. He's the other cat. It's not. It's really not.
Not to worry, we are still flying half a ship.
Alright. So let's get started on Grievous, which really I'm mostly going to be working on the lightsabers today. So I'm going to hit the hilts with a little bit of silver to start with so I can start shading that down. Specifically, I'm going to start with a Vallejo gunmetal because it's such a wonderful base for any sort of silver metal. By gunmetal, I actually mean chainmail silver because that's the one that I have the least of and I want to use it up. Batch painting is fun, in quotes. You know, once you establish a process, you can kind of turn your brain off, put on some music, and just get it painted. And you know what's fun about batch painting is when you're done and you can look at a big army of medium tabletop quality troops and be like, fuck yeah, I never have to paint those dudes again. That was the feeling I got after I painted my initial Imperial army, which came out beautifully, and then I sold it. And now I'm staring down the barrel of painting more fucking stormtroopers after these clone troopers. Why did I do that? Why did I didn't even make that much money on it. Oh, it was terrible. But I'm going to be doing more stormtroopers. That'll be a great time. Practically necessary if you run, say, orcs. Yeah, and batch painting can also be sort of a valuable exercise. I like to do it every now and then to remind myself that I can just paint to tabletop quality. That sounds arrogant. Sounds like I'm saying, I only paint studio models, I don't paint to tabletop quality. Like I would paint a model at that low of quality. That's not even a real accent. That's not even English. What the fuck is that? But really, it's kind of nice to lower your standards, I guess, is the phrase, even though that also sounds bad. Just for a little while, just let yourself kind of get away with it. I enjoy it. Not arrogant at all. Thunderhead, arrogant? That's ridiculous. I'm just going to hit my lightsaber hilts with some chainmail silver to start with. Some of these parts on the lightsaber hilts are supposed to be black, but that's easy to put over chainmail, whereas chainmail is a little trickier to put over black. Actually, it's not bad. It goes over black really well, but this is what I'm starting with, so I'm just going to pretend like I thought about it. So what's everybody up to today? I saw we got a few things in the stream review channel on the Discord. That's exciting. It's exciting. So one of the reasons I decided to go ahead and do a quick stream tonight is so that we could go ahead and hit you guys stream review stuff. I hate leaving that sitting there for a few extra days. You've been kind enough to share with me. The least I can do is share with you. My camera's just a little off right now. There we go. That's better. But yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm just going to say it again, we have a channel on the Discord titled Stream Review, and it has the purpose, believe it or not, of being a part of our stream review, in which, towards the end of any given stream, I will pop over into browsing mode on Discord, and we go over the pictures that you have shared with me, and just talk about them briefly. I love seeing what you guys are working on. It's really inspiring to see that sometimes when I'm working, you guys are painting too, or what you've been doing in the interim, or even just some cool photos you might have taken, you know? Maybe some cross-stitch that you did, Cat, you know? If you're working on anything creative, or even not that creative, just something you're proud of, please share it in the stream review. I'd love to see it. A lot of people post food porn because they hate me and want to torture me, you know? And maybe that's you too. Maybe you watch the stream because you think that Thunderhead is a fucking asshole. I want to make him look at a rack of ribs and wish he had some. You know, that's as legit as anything else, really. But I would love it if you wanted to share. Or don't, you know, you don't have to. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to force you because I can't force you, but that's the only reason. If I could, oh man, I would. I absolutely would. I'd make you take pictures, and then I'd hold your goddamn hand to the phone and make you post it on Discord. That's what kind of guy I am. I had an Amazon... It's been a weird week. It has been a weird week, you guys. I had an Amazon driver threaten to shoot me. It was very strange. This asshole drove through my lawn twice. We have a private driveway at the front of the property that runs parallel to the main road. Cyber Knight doing... Oh, I'm doing some painting finally. Yeah, I see how it is. Playing No Man's Sky in between. Did you see that they're adding mechs to No Man's Sky? Like, it's so fucking exciting. Oh, you're already talking about it. Like, you can have massive mech fights in the game anyway, but it's fun. You know what? I'm gonna enjoy it because I play No Man's Sky in VR. I'm gonna at least try it. Well, No Man's Sky is a pretty solid game these days. They made a lot of changes. But anyway, okay, so we've got this, I'll just get story time out of the way here real quick. We have this private driveway that runs parallel to the main road, and then if you continue driving, there is another, much better, improved driveway that runs perpendicular to the main road and by my house, where we have a box that is labeled, "This is for deliveries." It's a place where drivers can come and drop off whatever they want. By whatever they want, I mean the things that I have ordered and they are contractually obligated to drop off. And it makes a whole lot of sense, and it's really easy to find because the private drive is blocked off on both ends with a chain. Alright, Cat, see you in a minute. And on that chain is a sign, and on that sign is words in the English language. And those words say, "Deliveries!" And they have a big fucking arrow pointing in the direction of the driveway you can use, and where the box is. It's amazing stuff. It's pretty complicated, you know? I understand how some people might be a little intimidated by terminology that is that complex. I'm going to be pulling out a little bit of Reaper bleached linen so I can work on the armor plates on Grievous before I go to the lightsaber blades. So anyway, the moral of this story is an Amazon driver in a marked Amazon van comes along to my place, and he sees the private drive that is marked off, blocked off with a chain with the delivery sign, and he thinks to himself, I mean, you can probably guess, it was a perfectly logical thing to do. He saw that, and he thought, oh, they must mean drive immediately to the left of the posts, across a ditch, and through the lawn, and onto the blocked-off private driveway anyway, because fuck your signs. That's what he decides to do. Which is un-fucking believable. Not only because it's incredibly rude, but because to do that, you have to drive across a ditch. Like, take a van, it couldn't have been fun for him. It had to be insane actually being in that vehicle when it happened. And now I didn't see this part. Somebody else did, so I had this reported to me. A person went out and knocked on his window, and what the fuck are you doing? This is a private drive. You can't come in here. And the guy apparently responded with something like, "Well, don't talk to me like I'm a child." And he said, "All right, well, turn your ass around and get the hell out of here." And so the guy then moves on. We've got 2 houses on our property, so he moves on to the second house, which is mine. And to do this, does he turn around and go back the way he came? No. He goes to the other end of the private driveway. He continues along. Roland, that's an interesting point, because I actually would have been here as well. We have pretty good, what do they call them, castle doctrine laws here in the great state of Colorado, and you really don't want to play these kinds of games with us folk who live out in the country, because our local deputies are not very sympathetic to trespassers, like at all. What's up, Amax? Good to see you. Hello, you guys? Like, oh my god, that's Amax. She's basically a California Valley girl. I don't know if that's true. Sometimes she claims to be exotic and foreign. I don't know if any of these things are true. It's good to see you, Amax. What's up? So, he proceeds to drive to the other end of the private drive, where he is not supposed to be. And I'm looking out my window at this point, because I had literally just woken up. Like, I'm still in my PJs, I am barefoot. And I see this guy driving, and the only way he can get out would be to go, like, through the chain that's hanging across the driveway. And I see him driving, and I think, where the fuck is this guy gonna go? Like, I'm gonna have to go out and move the chain so we can get out of there, the moron. And he cuts to the right, and he drives through my fucking garden. I see this van just boom, right through my garden, where I had just dug up a bunch of dirt, put in a bunch of fertilizer, like I'm actively working on this garden. I am livid. Livid. I come running outside completely barefooted. I jammed a bunch of shit in the bottoms of my feet I didn't even notice until well after. And I'm not gonna attack this guy. I'm a pretty non-confrontational dude. I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? And that's what I ask him. What the hell are you doing? And he says, oh, the other guy told me to. And that's a fucking lie. Like, no, nobody told you to do this. You're out of your damn mind if you think I'm gonna believe this. I find out later it is absolutely a lie. Nobody told him to do that. They told him to do the exact opposite. And so I tell this guy, look, I don't fucking care what this other guy said. Don't do that again. And for me, that's the end of it. For me, like, I've gotten my message across, the damage is done, this guy's an idiot, I'm obviously going to call his employer later and we're going to have a word about this. And he loses his fucking mind. He says the same thing to me. Don't talk to me like I'm a child! And, I lose my temper a little bit. I did. I never once threatened the guy, because I don't make threats, you guys. It's not in my character. That, and I'm not that fucking stupid. Making threats is it's a mistake, and it's a fast way to wind up on the wrong end of a pair of handcuffs, pretty much anywhere you go. So, now I might have gotten a little heated. I might have. I stopped him from leaving long enough for us to get a picture of his face and his license plate number. And we exchanged some unkind words for a few minutes, and then he pulls off violently out of the driveway after refusing to give me his name. I got it anyway. I don't know why he thought Amazon would protect him. And he pulls out violently, and I'm like, okay, fucking whatever, what a weird-ass morning. And I go to tend to my morning business, and a few minutes later, my wife tells me, hey, that guy's back. I look out, he has pulled back into my driveway, again, violently, swinging his van around at high speeds, and I'm like, alright. Okay. So I go outside, and I mean, where I live, you guys, there is never a time on my property that I'm not armed. There just isn't. If I'm outside, I'm armed. This is because we have skunks, you might be familiar with. We have badgers, we have coyotes, we have... Shit, every now and then, a mountain lion comes through here. It's not unheard of. We're not that far from the foothills. Anyway, this dude is slow rolling by the house in just the most threatening manner you could possibly believe. And what the hell reason does he have to come back? I mean, none. None at all. And this dude shouts out his window, "Oh yeah, you need a gun. You need a gun." Like, and this is such a surreal experience for me. I mean, I am being threatened by some fucking Amazon driver. What? Did I just, like, wander into the fucking Twilight Zone or something? It's had me in, like, a weird funk ever since it happened, too. I called the police immediately after this happened. He did, too, interestingly, which actually made me feel a little bit better, because I was a little worried he was gonna, like, roll into Denver, get some of his friends, and come back in the middle of the night or some shit like that, and I'm like, oh, great, this is wonderful. I'm gonna have to deal with this shit. But, he called the police and reported his own version of events, humorously well after I did, which, they weren't really having any of it. His story was quite the fabrication, as it were, interestingly enough. I had witnesses, so that's not exactly going well for him. It's just been so fucking weird. Like, you don't get threatened like that often. You know? It's an odd experience. Put me in a funk for the rest of the day and had me in a weird mood yesterday, and I had a migraine. Yes, yesterday was terrible. Yesterday was just miserable. Combination of things. So that was my, that's been my week. I mean, that and a bunch of work outside, because I've been having to get the tractors and everything wound up for spring. Greasing everything, checking the engines, checking the intakes, that old game. So yeah, that's my story about being threatened with death by an Amazon driver, who didn't seem to have any idea where he was. The whole time I'm thinking, like, dude, if I wanted to shoot you, I could have done it, and the law would not have touched me, like, at all. Yeah, the cops know me. The cops are local. I live in a small town. My family has been here for almost 100 years, and this dude is from in the city. Like, he's just some jackass who doesn't seem to understand where he is or what he's doing. And I mean, like, what's interesting is if you look up Colorado State castle doctrine laws, one of the landmark cases is local to me. Like, it happened a couple of miles away, and it was a case where a dude just straight up shot a guy who was trespassing on his property. The guy wasn't armed. He was apparently trying to steal some marijuana that he was growing, quite legally. He just shot him without even announcing himself, and killed him. And the DA didn't even file charges against this guy. They were like, "Oh yeah, no, you're good." Like, you really don't want to cross people on their property out here. It's not a good idea. He's just lucky that I'm, not a murderer. Yeah, he threatens me and then calls the cops. That's why I got the impression, Amax, that he's like... The dude was young. And I think he's just young and stupid and got a little hot-headed. I don't really think he's dangerous. Because I feel like once he got a little distance between me and him and he calmed down a bit, he realized what had just happened. And I think what he wanted to do was get a call in early so that he could start setting the agenda, so that he could determine what the official story was in the police report, but he was about half an hour too late for that. It was fucking weird, you guys. Real strange. So again, yeah, that's been my last few days. Thanks, Kat. He really should lose his job. I was on the phone with several members of the Amazon logistics support staff at several levels of management and supervision, and I can't imagine that a customer calls you and says, "Hey, one of your drivers just threatened to shoot me," and that guy keeps his job. I also, based on his reaction, I can't imagine this was the first time something like this has happened. I cannot imagine. that it is. Also, I thought it was funny that both myself and the other person reported the first thing he said was, "Don't talk to me like I'm a child." And it's interesting to me that was his first go-to request, because that really just reeks of insecurity, like severe insecurity. You said that to 2 different people in the span of 5 minutes, dude. On top of that, I wasn't speaking to you like you were a child. If I was speaking to you like you were a child, I'd be saying, "Who let you drive this van, child? This is strange. Also, you shouldn't drive through people's yards, because a child would have more of an excuse to do what you did than a grown adult." I'm talking to you like you're an asshole, is what I'm talking to you like, because you're an asshole. But I guess he has a thing about not being spoken to like he's a child, which is somewhat ironic. Ah. You scrub. Yeah, thanks, Ethru. 6 hours without power, right now? Roland, or just before? Yeah, are you lost, little one? Who the hell let you drive? Yeah, it was very strange. It was just surreal. It was one of those events where, like, afterwards you're left thinking, did that really fucking happen? Like, have I gone crazy? Am I imagining this? Apparently not. You know what I should do instead of focusing on working on his arms right now is put down my base color for the lightsaber so that it has a chance to set. So I'm going to do that. Oh, Dark Fox, you're right. I need a glove. I'm already wiping on my hand, aren't I? Foolish, foolish me. It did. It did get skipped. Here it goes. So the, see how good my mic is? It can pick that up now. At least I hear it on my monitor. I don't know if my sound gate is getting it through. So anyway, Star Wars lately, man. It's just got me. I'm watching the Clone Wars again. I just watched A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back again. I watched episodes 2 and 3 again. The only movie I'm going to skip is going to be episode 1 and then all of the sequels because they're terrible.
If this conversation gets more about how you feel about something,
how I feel about Star Wars,
start charging you 50 C-bills per hour so I
very,
can listen to it.
Very relevant. Wait, where'd my button go? There it is. Alright. Lightsaber, lightsaber. Now, if I remember correctly, Grievous had blue lightsabers in these arms and green lightsabers in these arms. Let's see, I think I've got a picture. General Grievous. I thought about doing different colors on the lightsabers, but I'm really just kind of sticking to canon colors for the sake of these paint jobs. Because it takes all the thinking out of it for me. Yeah, blue, blue, green, green. Okay, we can do that. We can do blue and green. So for the blue, I like to use sort of a teal, cyan type color for blue lightsabers. Because now I've seen, yeah, Cat, I thought about doing that. I thought about doing yellow, blue, green, and like purple. But one, that complicates things. And two, the nerdiest part of my brain goes, but I only know about one purple lightsaber, and that's Mace Windu, and Grievous never killed Mace Windu, and it's a bunch of bullshit. But I wind up just going, I'm just going to do the canon colors. I'm just going to do what he actually had on him. I'll wipe some paint on my finger so I can wipe it on my model later. That's a genius idea. So for blue lightsabers, I've been going with, starting off with Reaper Glacier Blue. I know you see a lot of people paint lightsabers, and it's tricky. It's very difficult because you're painting something that's supposed to be a rod of glowing light. And I look to the movies for inspiration, and in the movies, you'll note that there isn't actually much color on lightsabers. The color is very... It's in the reflections on objects surrounding it, and it is in a very tight band around the edge of the blade, but the blade itself is almost pure white. Almost pure white. So I tend to go with that sort of color scheme for the lightsabers, but I start with the darkest color I'm going to use, and the darkest color I'm going to use for blue is going to be this Glacier Blue. The atrocity on Reddit. Do I even want to... Yeah, put it up. Let's see it on stream review. I'm excited. I love a good atrocity. So, starting with the blue, nice and easy. Now, the trick to painting lightsabers I've found, at least the ones that I've been somewhat successful with, is you have to pick a viewing direction. Because the band of white in the middle and the color around the outside is only really going to work from looking at it from a particular direction. So you're going to have to pick the direction that you want the model to be viewed from, and then paint it as if it's always being viewed from that direction. Direction, direction, direction. I'm just going to say that word a few more times if you don't mind. At least that's how I've been successful. It limits your viewing angle choices, but you're painting lightsabers, for God's sake. It's not going to be perfect. It's a rod of plastic painted as if it were a rod of light, and, I mean, you just kind of have to lie to people's eyes a bit to make that work. But again, the colors tend to be fairly pale and more suggested than anything else, so I like to keep them light. And my wet palette is a swamp today. It's either a swamp or too dry, it's never just right. If I'm ever like, my wet palette is just right today, somebody clip that because I want to remember it. And I don't like to do any color I've seen some people paint lightsabers with brightness and color variation moving from the base to the tip, where it'll be like bright down towards the emitter end, and then it'll be fading or a deeper color towards the end. I don't like doing that because, again, it's not how a lightsaber is supposed to be. It's supposed to be pretty well solid all the way to the end in the color distribution. But there's no wrong way to paint a lightsaber, you guys. You paint it whatever way works for you, because again, we're having to fudge the colors a little bit here, no matter what we do. There's my blue. I gotta pick a green. I haven't done a green lightsaber in a while. I should pick a good one because I've got Operative Luke on the way, the one from Return of the Jedi with the green lightsaber. So I'm thinking this cat's eye green. I think that's a pretty good color for a green lightsaber. It's fairly vivid. Like a good atrocity, like episode 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, no, those... Chris Sala makes a good point. Those are not atrocities. Those are travesties. Those are insults. Those are, You know, they're not even. I feel like that's giving them too much credit. What episodes 7, 8, and 9 are fucking cheap, which is ironic because they were actually quite expensive. They are soulless. I was talking with a friend recently, and I realized that in many ways, the Star Wars trilogy, the trilogy of trilogies, follows... Hang on, I'm trying to do this to all my paint caps right now, as I think of it, as I have the paint out, because I'm trying to reverse the way that I put them in my rack for the next one. I realized that the trilogy of trilogies actually follows the story of Anakin Skywalker in a funny sort of way. It follows his life. As George Lucas would say, it's like poetry, it rhymes. He would also say, Ichuta Bantha Poodoo, and then he would fart and burp. But we're not going to do that. The first trilogy of films is somewhat naive. And I say the first trilogy, I'm referring to chronologically in the universe the first trilogy, so I'm talking about the prequel trilogy. It is naive and childish, and, I mean, really well-intentioned, but it feels like it lacks the experience to really stand on its own, which is ironic since it came second, but in a way...
99 bottles of paint on the wall, 99 bottles of paint... Take one down,
oh, chaotic.
shake it around.
Oh, God.
150 bottles of paint on the wall.
You never use them up, somehow. Even when you use them up, they seem to multiply. But, so we have the first one, well-intentioned, somewhat naive. Okay. And then we go into the second trilogy, the original trilogy, if you will. And it's more competent. Like I said, this is following the life of Anakin Skywalker. It's more competent. It's a little darker. It's a little bit more severe. It's a little bit more complex and more working in shades of gray. And then we move forward in the life of Anakin to the sequel trilogy, which is cold, soulless, robotic, and just depressing. Just depressing. Now, if they had done that on purpose, I would say that's kind of brilliant, but they didn't, so it's not. I mean, in a way, they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose in the sense that nobody fucking cared about the movies, and they were just, their fucking eyeballs, their eyes were full of dollar signs. In a way, it was intentional. In another way, it was... I mean, I'm sure they tried to make it good. It's just that they suck at making good things. I don't even blame Rian Johnson anymore. Since I've seen some other Rian Johnson movies, I realize that he actually is a very talented writer and director. I think he was just handed a shit sandwich. And I think I said this last time, that the same thing happened to Gareth Edwards with Rogue One. What was wrong with that movie, and that's a hot take of mine. I know a lot of people really liked Rogue One. I did not. I disliked Rogue One to the point that even in Star Wars Legion, I will not play with things like Rebel Pathfinders or Death Troopers, because I don't even like thinking about that movie. We'll take a look at that in the BitCat. Thanks for that. Death Troopers bug me almost more than Mud Troopers. In fact, they do bug me more than Mud Troopers. Because, well, that's not necessarily true. But Death Troopers bug me. I feel like Disney, for all the idiotic crap that the LucasArts pulled on us with all the Stormtrooper naming conventions, Lava Troopers, Space Troopers, so on and so forth, Hazard Troopers, Nova Troopers, I feel like for all that bullshit, none of it was as egregious as what Disney then began doing when they took over the franchise. Death Trooper seems to imply that Stormtroopers won't kill you. Doesn't it? I thought every Stormtrooper was a Death Trooper. Could we really not come up with a better name for a bodyguard than fucking Death Trooper? Project Dark Fox, I'm with you on that one too, man. As far as I'm concerned, that story still involves Kyle Katarn and the Moldy Crow. And I don't care for any other version of the story. Rogue One was such an unnecessary movie. It's like, people like to say Solo was an unnecessary movie, but okay, that maybe it was. But at least it wasn't a movie designed and marketed entirely around filling something that isn't really even a plot hole. The entire point of Rogue One was to... Hang on, let me adjust my focus. I must be out of focus for most of this. I apologize. Looks like I'm at about 60 today. The entire movie exists to explain the weakness in the Death Star's design. And in so doing, they wrote out a bunch of fan-favorite Legends characters like Kyle Katarn. And that's really kind of irritating. You didn't have to do that. You could have just left that alone. That didn't need explanation. I mean, it always seemed a little odd that there was such an easy way to destroy the Death Star, but it was easily explained away just by saying, the Empire was arrogant. They didn't think that, that could happen. It's unreasonable. And the fact is that the only reason the Death Star went down to a shot to that little port of theirs was that the person piloting the starfighter that did it was a goddamn space wizard. He's a wizard with a fucking magical sword and magical powers and another dead wizard speaking in his ears from beyond the grave. Like, what fucking Imperial designer is going to successfully plan for wizardry? That's not fair. Nobody else could have done it. In fact, several other Rebel pilots failed at that task. And yet we need an entire fucking movie to explain it. An entire movie that has one of the most confusing first acts I've ever seen in a film. We jump from place to place, bing, bang, boom, one thing after the other, and then we meet a bunch of characters that are never going to come back, and then some big hentai tentacle monster wanders out from fucking Forrest Whitaker's ass and shoves a tentacle into some dude's ear, and they're like, oh, the side effects is it makes you go crazy, and then he just doesn't? Like, why did they even say that? Like, why is that monster in the movie? Why did they say it was going to make him go crazy when it just didn't happen? Like, what? That's why I'm forgiving to Gareth Edwards about all that, because I feel certain that he didn't really get to make the most of those decisions. And in fact, if you read interviews with him, he said, after this, I'm never working on another Star Wars movie. I think he had a terrible experience making it. Which makes sense. There are way too many cooks in that kitchen. Way too many cooks in that kitchen. They got diminishing returns real fucking fast on the writing team. That, and I'm not going to criticize it because I'm not going to criticize it in detail because I bore myself. But the Darth Vader scene was fucking stupid, you guys. It was real dumb. I've complained about it on this stream before, so I don't really feel like I need to do it again. It bugged the ever-loving crap out of me. Yeah, Project Dark Fox. It was answered in Dark Forces, and I like Dark Forces. I like Dark Forces too. I like that whole series. I don't know why the hell they had to throw that out. No, Hethrir, you are not the only one. I strongly dislike Rogue One and everything that it brought to the universe. I feel like it's a cheap-ass movie that didn't need to happen. Which you could say the same thing about Solo, but at least Solo wasn't directly contradicting previously established lore just for the sake of being different. Which Rogue One very much was. Hooray for entertainment via committee. Yeah, that really is my problem with the Disney Star Wars, is that there is no love in Star Wars anymore. There's no excitement. The closest thing we get to love and excitement comes out of Jon Favreau and The Mandalorian. And you guys know that I criticize The Mandalorian. I criticize it harshly and sharply. But The Mandalorian has some love in it. The Mandalorian has some art in it. The Mandalorian has heart. Even though I might not like everything it does. And, I mean, I'll say that the sequel movies did one good thing for me, in that they taught me to recognize that. They made me more forgiving of the prequels, and they made me realize that what I really liked in Star Wars wasn't, you know, arguing about how many fucking megawatts a turbo laser put out and whether or not it was possible to hyperdrive into somebody like a missile, but the heart of the story, the hero's journey of Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker. Let's water down everything and get nothing. Haha. Solo, I agree. Solo felt like it had heart. Solo felt like I was watching one of the pulp novels that came out during the 90s. They were just that cheesy, and they had a lot... For God's sake, they mentioned Teras Kasi in a movie, and that was exciting for me. Nobody mentions Teras Kasi. I thought Teras Kasi was gone when they made that fucking game, Masters of Teras Kasi, that weird-ass fighting game for Star Wars. But they brought it back up, and they let Daenerys Targaryen use it. Speaking of Daenerys Targaryen, Play and Win got me to play the A Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game on Tabletop Simulator the other day, and that game is a lot of fun. I would not have given it a chance for a long time, but it actually is a really good time. Damn you, lightsaber! Why do you have that? I have to fix you. It has a little burr on it. And yeah, Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian is hard to argue with too. I like how he mispronounced Han's name. He called him Han, because that's what fucking Billy D. Williams did too. There we go. Oh, and I left... You know, I should have cleaned these lightsabers up a little bit better. There we go. Did the top ones anyway. Good for me. Be back soon. Foods. Alright, Cat. We'll see you in a bit. It really is. I was playing as the Baratheons, which, okay, I will criticize the game makers a little bit and on a very superficial thing. And that superficial thing is... Robert Baratheon used a hammer, therefore, all Baratheons use hammers. That's their gimmick. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Stannis didn't use a hammer. Stannis used a fucking sword. He used several different swords. It was just Robert that used hammers. So it's silly to have their entire army be hammer-centric, but at the same time, I understand that, you know, you gotta come up with a gimmick. And, they did. They came up with a gimmick. And it was hammers. So, alright, whatever. Who gives a shit? I like the way the Baratheons play, though. They have a very, like, Aura of Thorns type series of abilities to them, where they just punish you for punishing them. Their Stag Knights are very high risk, high reward, in that they love taking damage. They do a lot of damage in return, but you have to capitalize on them while you can, otherwise they go down quickly. I'm going to try playing as Renly next time, I think, because I feel like his healing abilities mixed with the Baratheon, Thorn Aura abilities will play better than Stannis' weird token denial abilities. Too much MDF in my life. What's up, Camo Specs? It's good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in here in a while. I mean, you might have been here, but, yeah. How you doing? Well, I'll tell you what, you paint that MDF and get it off your damn desk and you won't have to deal with it anymore, White Wolf. Alright, so I'm at the point now where I have to start deciding my viewing angles for these lightsabers, which I'm thinking for this green one, it's going to be this angle here. Because that's going to be a real common viewing angle. I'm thinking for this blue one, we're going to have an internal angle that's a little bit more upward, like so. For this blue one, probably facing forward on the green one, and then I'm going to do another angle on each of them from the back. I'm going to start off putting a line of white on those angles so that I can then work the colors up around them. Been away from painting for the last week or so, working on a car project. Man, I know how that is. I got a lot of outdoor stuff to do right now, a lot of stuff to do in the garage, and it's hard to find the time to paint. I'm going straight to pure white, and then I'm going to ease in some colors around it. I noticed, who was it that was saying, you're wondering if people are going to get tired of my intro song? Venger. I was thinking about that recently. Interestingly enough, I was thinking about changing it. I'm not sure what to yet. I have a couple of songs kind of in mind. I might change it to a different one for Sunday. I don't know. But who gets tired of Venger? It's a great song. That and what are you people doing hanging out during my 5-minute countdown? That's crazy. You should be drinking or something. There we go. That's my white. It's also in my own playlist. I just get concerned. You know, Dark Fox, it's not my fault that you have good taste. Oh, I wanted to show you guys something. I almost forgot about it. The base starter... Wait, what base starter set, Puck Duncher? Talking about Star Wars Legion? It shouldn't be $150. Or did I miss what game you're talking about? I probably did. Who knows? I wanted to show you, I got another starter set, though. It just came in today, and I'm going to be getting started on it pretty soon. This was an impulse buy, but it's one that I'm pretty happy. Oh, A Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah. I kind of want to get those minis and paint them, but I need to wait a little bit because I've been on a bit of a retail therapy roll lately, and that needs to come to an end. Admittedly, a lot of it has been taken care of with some old FFG playtester credit, and then with some sales that were on, so I haven't really spent that much money, which is good. But I have got a lot of models, and I really need to get through them. And I'm probably not going to get through all of these before I come back to Battletech, and then I put these on the shelf for a while again. You know, it's all a cycle, but check this out. It's exciting. It's exciting, you guys. I've never played Heavy Gear Blitz. I have played the video games Terra Nova, Heavy Gear, and Heavy Gear 2. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, and I've heard really good things about this game, and I like what I've seen of the rules. Yes, this is the North vs. South starter, and the guy who runs DreamPod 9 contacted me when I did this order, and he was like, hey, if you spend $5 more, you'll get to the threshold where you get free shipping, and then you'll get like $30 of extra stuff on top of that, because we're running this deal. So I was like, okay, here, have $5, and he threw in, I think I've got 2 extra of the heavy gears. Heavy gear, they're all heavy gear. But you know, there's gears, and then there's heavier gears and lighter gears. The big ones, like Black Mamba. And then I got some resin alternate pose arms mixed in there, and I'm going to dig into building these here pretty soon. And the game looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited to try it out. Plus, I figured that'll be some good mech content for me to paint while I'm a little burnt out on Battletech. I can still give you guys punchy mechs getting painted in the same style as Battletech. It'll work better with my brain if it's a different property, you know? I think I've said before, I'm going to say it again, I don't know shit about Heavy Gear's lore. I know that they're on the planet Terra Nova. I know that they're isolated from whatever empire it was that Earth established that put them there. I know that the planet has a massive equatorial desert, and I know that they use land ships in that equatorial desert. That's it. That's all I know. Well, Dark Fox, I'll be happy to show them off. Gaslands. Gaslands is one of those that looks like there's almost no reason not to get into it, because it's like you get some Matchbox cars, and you print out some parts to go with them, and you can play. I know a few people who have played Gaslands, and I've never heard a bad thing about the game. But I don't know how you could really shit-talk a game that's essentially free anyway. Alright, now to start working on these godforsaken lightsabers. And I mean, continue working on these godforsaken lightsabers. So this is the viewing angle I'm going to go with for Mr. Lower Green Saber. Right along what would have been a mold line. I go with a pretty thick line. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to clean it up and add a little bit more green around the edge after I get it done. Because again, in the movies, they're mostly white. They are mostly white with a little bit of color. They are really not darkly colored at all, lightsabers. And the thickness should be the same at the bottom. In fact, the thickest at the bottom where the emitter is. Because in theory, the lightsaber is projecting a very narrow beam of light, and most of what you're seeing is just the glow coming off of it. In theory. If I have my space magic right, that's a good start. And the second viewing angle for this one is going to be probably about here. So I'm going to put another white line here. This is at about a third of the way around the radius of the blade. And don't take it all the way to the edge because you want some of the glow, or the end rather, you want some of the glow on the end. You can use the edge of your brush too here to fill this in, which is kind of nice because it's rounded. The highest surface will be on top if you use the edge. And see, this leaves kind of a narrow band of green in here that I'm going to blend a little bit to give you a good view from here and from here. You got space magic? We're working on it, Tremere. What's up, man? Good to see you. What's good? Used to be official pod squad. Damn. Want me to give you a lore rundown? Roland, I would love a lore rundown. Honestly, I know nothing about it. And every time I've started to get into it, I've been like, do I really want to do this? And this is the first time in my life where the answer has been maybe yes.
I suppose you could just go ahead and glorb that paint on.
I'm not glorbing shit.
Not like we're trying to get inside the lines or anything.
Not a glorb in sight, I'll have you know. And then back here, from about here, I think. You just kind of have to pick what you think are the most likely common viewing angles and go with those on lightsabers if you want to do this effect. It's not going to look good from every angle, but it's a lightsaber. It was never going to look good from every angle. You find a way to paint a lightsaber that looks good from every angle, not just looks good, but looks like the movies from every angle, and I'll send you some of my bath water or something. It's pretty valuable stuff, right? I'm kind of a big deal. Nope. It is neither heavy nor excessive. Dark Fox, this is the first coat that is going to get toned down with some blending around the edges. And I want it very heavy and stark. So that I can then refine it. And I want it almost pure white. More color will come in later. I say this like I'm an expert. I've done a few of these, and they've worked out pretty well, and this is just my method. You may not even like it, for all I know. Let's see, straight on. I'm gonna have a viewing angle from about here, I think. Another one at, again, about a third of the way around the radius. Very rarely is the angle such that you want it completely on the opposite side. Go. Alright, and then this guy right here, pretty much dead forward. A little bit more on the end here. Again, the light coming off of lightsabers is very intense. I don't like to do a lot of OSL with lightsabers unless the blade comes really, really close to a surface. Because if you watch the movies, they don't cast that much light. They really just don't. Now, I realize that for the sake of miniature painting, we want to do effects that aren't necessarily the most realistic or the most screen accurate. We want to do the effects that look the best. But that OSL kind of throws me off when it's too heavy. That's why I did very little on Obi-Wan, just where it comes real close to his face and his hand that kind of sells it. And I'll probably do a little bit maybe on Grievous's hands, but I don't think I'm going to take it as far as his face. I thought about doing that, about having the lightsabers reflecting off his face, and I might do a little bit of blue here and a little bit of green here, but not much. Really not much at all. I'll consider it withdrawn, Dark Fox. Anti-Glorb. See, I caught that part, Roland. They get to Terra Nova, they set up a colony, and then the interstellar government has some big problem, and they fuck off, and everybody kind of has to establish their own nation states. And then those nation states are like, we got robots, and then you fight robots, and that's the meat of it, as I understand it. I kind of almost wanted this more forward than I did it. What I don't know is anything about those nation states. Like, there's a north and a south, but I don't know, like, which one is the meta good guy, which one's the meta bad guy. There's always one of those. Alright. Now, I'm going to mix my base colors with a bit of white. And just start kind of easing the colors together, because you don't want a real stark transition. At least I don't. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe stark transitions are your thing. Actually, I could just use my colors as they are because they're quite watered down. That would actually be a pretty good one to get out of Chaotic, I think. Okay, I take that back. Northern Lights Confederation. Ooh, do they smoke a lot of weed? Sounds like they do. If I was forming the Northern Lights Confederation, it would be predicated on the notion that we smoke weed every day. That Northern Lights, yo. Okay, so there's a Western faction, too. So now I'm just coming in, kind of quartered at the edges, and doing the same thing, but with my color. To try and ease the white into the green. Whether it works or not, we'll see. But it's a very thin down green, so it's more just like glazing the color on than really painting it. At least that's the idea. That might have gone on a bit thick, actually. That's okay, I can redo some of the white, or just wipe it off. Like so. A bit from this end. I'm just trying to overlap the edges of the white that I did. Just a little bit without getting the center of it. You can see that's already easier than just the white core. Easier, less harsh. That's really what I mean to say, I think. A Western Frontier Protectorate that is both democratic and religious. Interesting. Which ones are... Well, we'll continue. I haven't... Really, the two factions I have are the North and the South. Those are the two ones that I need to get somewhat familiar with the general concept of. And see, this is already looking pretty close to how I'm going to have it at the end, honestly. Mostly white with some green around the edges, and the worst viewing angle is going to be from dead on to one of the colored edges, and the best viewing angle is going to be one of the ones that you've chosen, which in this case is here and here for the green lightsaber. Yeah, it comes together once you put on the second layer of colors, Dark Fox. Religious, socially conformist, nah. I'm leaving them out. Hardscrabble frontier peoples of Firefly with the government like Starship Troopers. Ooh. That's ironic because the federal government in Firefly wore the same armor as the actors in Starship Troopers. Same props. Well, I guess that's not irony. That would not be irony. And this green I'm laying down is real thin. Real thin. So I can be a little bit sloppy with it and still achieve my goals. Which is good, because I'm always a bit sloppy. Other guys, you get sloppy seconds. With Thunderhead, you get sloppy firsts. My best is sloppy. I don't know what that says about me. Probably something really good. I'm sure it is. I've just decided that it is, and we're going to go with that. All I'm really trying to do is knock that harsh edge off the white, while still keeping it in the middle for the most part. to do a bit more white on this one. I kind of covered it up a fair amount. Megacorps. I don't mind playing as corporate stooges. That's always fun in a war game. What's on the ender tonight? That is another Tarkin Town shanty. I need to do 3 to 4 more, and I will have enough to populate a board the way I want to. And if you're not familiar, Tarkin Town was a setting in Star Wars Rebels. Yeah, this needs more white on it. Specifically, it was an Imperial relocation camp on the planet of Lothal. And if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels and you like Star Wars at all, I strongly recommend it. It's a great show. I really enjoyed Rebels, you guys. I'm looking forward to digging back into it after I get through with the Clone Wars. And I hope the rumors of a Rebels continuation are true. I really hope that's true. I'd like to find out what happens to Ezra and Thrawn. And if any of you play Star Wars Legion and you want to print out some of these Tarkin Town shanties, they're very, very simple, but I will be putting them up on Thingiverse. Once I've got... Well, I guess I could do that tonight, because I've proven that they print well. That was really what I was waiting on. Corporate stooges with liberty and justice for all. That's ironic. But I guess that's probably the point, is the irony of it. Alright, switch to some of my blue here. I actually want to use a lighter blue for this blending. I think I'm going to go to Frost Blue. Hey, as long as they back it up. I don't even mind if they're completely full of shit. In fact, when I'm playing games like this, I tend to pick out the factions that are, like, obviously full of shit. I enjoy playing them. Read into that whatever you will. Oh, so it's not so much liberty and justice for all so much as it is, like, libertarian free market capitalism, unfettered, unregulated, which likes to sell itself as very liberty-oriented. Go. Let's try that on the front. Man, I want sushi. That's the one thing that I've been missing, being able to go out to get something to eat. I want to go to a damn sushi bar. City that's run by a series of AI. Oh, shit. Okay. So they're not kidding. They're really like, yeah, you guys can do whatever the hell you want. Just, you know, keep the cash flowing. This is going to need a bit more white. I'm going to water my white down just a tad bit more because I don't want it being super heavy. Now see the South, this is a faction I have. So this is a group that I should probably pick someone to represent when I actually start painting these heavy gear minis. There we go. Green's looking decent there. I think a touch here. I had forgotten, by the way, how much, wait, who's basically Nazi Germany? 4 bases of 3D printed elementals, so delicate but so smexy. Looking forward to seeing those, Steiner. Oh, the Southern Republic, basically Nazis? Okay. I do tend to pick the bad guys. Though picking fascists these days doesn't feel quite right anymore. It used to be more fun. That's looking decent. I need to do some more blue. Yeah, the southern ones are the gears that have the more rounded shoulder plates and stuff on them. I like the look of those too. If they're Nazi-ish, that also gives me some really easy choices for paint schemes. Come in with a little bit of my original Arctic blue to sort of define between the blade glows a little bit more than I have. Because you definitely want a little bit of the darker color on the edges. You don't want the whole thing to just blend into being the same stupid color. But of course, in this case, our darkest color is not very dark at all. Back to my Arctic blue. Trying to get the right angle to just do this with the edge without losing my definition. go. I've seen many factions trying well enough to be like CNC's Brotherhood of Nod. Yeah, I know, right? We need more factions that are like the Brotherhood of Nod. I actually started... You know what, can I show you something real quick, Dark Fox? I want to show you something real quick. I need to get up for 1 second and grab something out of my closet. I'll be right back. So, I started working on these. Himself, that's what he's grabbing. While thinking of the Defoe. When did I work on these guys? This was a handful of years ago. It was well before I got into 3D printing. It was right about the same time I discovered Shapeways, because that's where I got the heads, and I had a bunch of leftover Imperial Guard. I did some freehand on them, and a little bit of green stuff work, but obviously I could do better now, but... You probably recognize these, Dark Fox. And looking at them, I can paint so much finer lines now than I did then. Can't even really make out the helmet all that well. But it's the Tiberian Sun style helmets. And I've got a couple of these guys. There, that one you can, I think, see a little bit better. I highlighted his visor better. I need to come back to this project, even if just to build like an IG kill team or something. I was using Maelstrom's Edge parts. The armor and the legs are from Maelstrom's Edge Karis troopers. The arms and gun are from Imperial Guard, obviously, slightly modified, and then the helmets were 3D printed. And then I was freehanding the nod symbol on them when I was doing them. But the mini from this set that I was... And I did the commanders from Tiberian Sun as well. I have here Anton Slavik. In his nod uniform. With his sweet-ass blonde hair. And then, I can't remember his blonde chick assistant. I haven't painted her, but I got her put together, and that's about the time that I lost motivation on the project, because I didn't really have a good direction for it. That came out pretty nice. I like how Slavic came out. I made the little metal board on his chest out of green stuff. And the rest is obviously just like Imperial Guard, Commander, sprue stuff. But I've wanted to have a Nod faction in something. Oksana, thank you. Yes, Oksana Christos is who she would be meant to be at some point. It took me a while to find a female head with a ponytail and a beret. And then I went with, I want to say the body's from Hassle-Free Miniatures? I'm not sure, I don't remember where I got her now. The body's metal, though. But the skin-tight outfit with the pistols seemed like an appropriate choice for Oksana. I might come back to them at some point, I don't know, I haven't really decided. But I got a little squad of Nod troopers, and I had started to work on some rocket launcher troopers. Because, you know, Nod had rocket launcher troopers. But yeah, there you go, Dark Fox. Might come back to that at some point, I don't know. Who knows? I did do the buggy, actually, Hethrir. That's been sitting on my desk for a while, hang on. One of the symbol plates broke off and it's dusty because it just sits on my desk, and I would probably just 3D print it at this point, but this was before I had that, before I had access to 3D printing, and I was just kind of gluing pieces of styrene together, but I made a halfway decent Nod buggy that only got partway painted. It's dusty as hell. But there's a little pilot in there. Take that plate off, you can see him in there. And this is actually an MDF vehicle that I got from an Australian company called, I think it's just Wargame Scenery. They do some pretty cool vehicles. Yeah. Yes, White Wolf, this is a miniature scenery buggy modified into a Nod attack buggy. I think it actually came out pretty good for what it is. It's a project that I keep meaning to come back around to, and when I find the motivation to do it, I think it'll be even better now because I have access to 3D printing and I can just whip stuff up myself instead of having to depend on other people. Now I do this blend that I'm doing, and I'm just trying to gradually work the white down to a narrower and narrower band until it's where I want it to be, without eliminating it entirely. Ugh, stop doing that. I just said without eliminating it entirely, you idiot. I have to fix that. Oh well. Last Southern League is the Eastern Sons Emirate, brutal hereditary despotic regime built on slavery. Oh, so Saudi Arabia. That's nice. You know, Roland, I have a sprue of GDI soldier heads, and I had started working on what parts I wanted to combine to make GDI. I have a bunch of heads for them. I had worked on some disc throwers. I made the backpack for them. Again, that project it died on the desk a while back. But I still have all the parts. No, I'm still here, Cat Ion. You like him, Kursala? I'm glad. I'm a little frustrated with this one, but the others are coming together nice. But it's okay. You know, with a project like the lightsaber where you're trying to get blended colors and you're getting it just right, the trick is to just keep doing it over and over and not get too frustrated at each step, because everything can be undone. Everything can be redone. I just don't like ever making them too dark, because they're light, for God's sake. They're not shadow sabers. There is a dark saber, but this is not it. I'm not painting Sabine Wren or fucking Captain El Pollo Loco. Now, both the Northern and Southern Leagues are bound together in alliance. How does that work? If they're fighting. North has Confederation Northern City-States, like NATO. Okay. Yeah, play and win yet. Sabine Wren's, she does have the Darksaber on her model, and with the fact that I'm building a Lothal terrain set, there's a very strong chance that I'm going to wind up painting her up. For God's sakes, I've got fucking Agent Callus here. I'm going to show him off again, because play and win, did you see? Did you see how this print came out? Because it came out beautifully. Look at him, pointing. He's like, you! Fucking you rebel scum. Get over here and face my stick. That's what he's saying. And he has quite a stick. And this print came out real nice. I'm looking forward to painting Agent Callus. He's one of my favorite characters from Rebels. I'd love to take credit, Hethrir, and I mean, I do deserve some credit in that I did in fact print them, but most of the credit goes to Elegoo for their excellent machine. It's a nice one, playing when he printed well, too. If you don't want to go through the trouble of supporting him, I can send you the STL that I made that has the supports already on him. Since you also own the same model, I think that that's within the realm of reasonability. I'm just putting some real thin reinforcements on the center of this area with the white. Because you still want the white in there, you don't want either color really overpowering the other. At least I don't. Maybe you do, I don't know. Tell you what I'm really pleased with is how Grievous's eyes have turned out. They need some touch-ups, they're not perfect. But I think I did a decent job at the base colors of them and getting the iris put in. You can really see him staring out at you. You know? And I got that nasty, irritated red skin that he's got under his eyes. You can almost hear him hacking and coughing. Allied Southern Territories, basically the Mekong Dominion, Eastern Sons Emirates, and Humanist Alliance puppeted by the Southern Republic. So it sounds like the North are the good guys, in a very broad sense. Making you want a resin printer? You should want a resin printer, dude. They're fucking amazing. Like, I love my Ender 3. I print out a lot of shit on my Ender 3. I love my Elegoo Mars, I really do. Though, Hethrir, if you don't want to commit to one yet, you can always just let me know if you want resin prints, man. I will send them to you for free. Now, bear in mind, chat, that does not mean that I will send those to any of you for free. Hethrir has known me for a very, very long time. That, and I'm also fairly assured that Hethrir will repay me in ribs at some point, so... Unless you are willing to repay me in ribs and beer, which, I don't know, you might be. There, that's an improvement. Now we're getting there. I need to do some more work on the blue, but you can really get... The green is looking pretty good, I feel, on both counts. The blue needs some work. Ren no ribs. I changed my name literally 20 minutes ago, now this dude's mentioning some hacking ribs. What's up? Well, that's fucking meant to be, isn't it? Ren no ribs. No ribs. What's up, man? How you doing? Wife may execute you on the spot. It's possible. Though she seems pretty excited about the Ender, man, I gotta say. Ribs are always amazing, Ren. Always. He's got a point. I'm going back to my Arctic blue now, by the way. Now, bear in mind, the way I paint these lightsabers, it may not be the most striking visual on the tabletop. It may not, like, you could get a look that arguably looks better on a model by using other techniques, but this technique yields, for me, what is the closest to how they look in the movies while still looking pretty decent on tabletop, which I'm a huge... I'm all about the movies, you guys. I'm all about Star Wars movies. And, I like to try to replicate the look that they actually have, the original art designs. I really do. As much as I can, you know? Within the bounds of reasonability. Ren Momo officially just changed my name for a meme for 2 months. Well, I mean, it's a good meme, to be fair. It's a well-timed meme for this particular stream. Maybe it was meant to be. Oops. Let's get some more of that white on there. Really? That's actually kind of interesting, Ren. How has that, if I may ask, and feel free to tell me to fuck the fuck off on this question, after all, this could be very personal. How has that, I'm curious, how has that affected your life? Has it affected your life? Has it been a big deal at all? How has it affected you in ways that people might not expect? Because that's actually pretty interesting. When HG's games released, the timeline was 1900 years after the Earth abandoned Terra Nova. Damn, Earth invaded Terra Nova while they combined Alliance invades. I feel like I vaguely remember that happening in the game. I literally didn't know until 2 years ago, and I'm 20, so you would probably say not at all then, Ren. So you can be born missing 2 ribs and just basically not notice. Now, I don't find that terribly surprising because, like, for instance, I don't really notice my ribs that much until I, like, get hit in them or something. Are you more flexible than normal? Have you tested this? Is it possible that you have superpowers that you have simply not discovered yet? Because you, sir, you might, you know, if you haven't tried. I feel like, you know, if Superman had never tried to fly, he might have not known that he could do it. I'm not saying you're Superman, Ren. But I'm saying you could be. No, probably not. You probably can't fly because you're missing 2 ribs. But, you know, maybe you could do something else. Maybe you could, like, roll into a ball, you know, like an armadillo, and sort of, you know, move around that way. I'm sorry. Why do I say anything at all? Ooh, with the real superpower. See? Ren's got it figured out. He's got it on all of us, guys. Many people would kill for that ability. Wars have been fought for less. I almost feel like I'm going to have to do some OSL on this model to sell these sabers. Also, I feel they show up a little bit better in person than they do on camera, in my opinion. I'm going to do a little bit of my darker blue along the non-showy edges of these sabers. I'm going to have to put down a little bit more of it to do that. Well, that could be like your thing, Ren. You could be like, he has the powers of a woman, which doesn't sound that exciting, but you could make it a thing. Don't let Amax or Cat hear that I said that. That having the powers of a woman wouldn't be exciting. It might be exciting, I don't know. I don't know, because I've got all my ribs. I couldn't possibly know. Do you guys remember when there was that rumor going around about Marilyn Manson that he had a couple of his ribs removed so he could do that? Yeah, I didn't think that was true, Cat. Like... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just like a... I mean, I'm not sure who specifically in your life, Ren, but it's possible that whoever lied to you was, religious, because that's like a thing. Not lying, but the whole rib thing, they're really into that. I don't know. Their fanfiction's weird. Just trying to deepen the blue that is away from the white edges. Yeah. Maybe a little bit down here. I'll just go right off camera, don't even worry about it. You guys don't need to see this. Who even really wants to see me paint anyway? That's not what you guys are here for. You're here to meme! Conceivably. Well, don't shoot anybody. Cat is a scientist, it's true. Ren, that's one of those things, though, that because religion is such a big part of Western culture, a lot of their bullshit, a lot of the strange things that they believe just kind of get rolled right on into pop culture. Sort of like the entire television show Supernatural, you know? Shit, I wish that Christianity was more like the version of Christianity they have in Supernatural. I'm getting a little controversial here, but I'm still talking about a CW show, so I think I'm safe. I am in no way belittling anyone's religion, at least no more so than Sam and Dean Winchester have belittled your religion by reducing it to a series of monster rules. Which, let's face it, that's what they did. These are more factions, Roland? Oh, okay. Non-aligned factions, Peace River and New Coal. Interesting, interesting. This is the most I have ever learned about the story of Heavy Gear, so this is actually helpful for me. I've already decided that I'm going to use a somewhat Wehrmacht-inspired paint scheme for my southern forces as a result of this. I've been looking for an excuse to do the late-war German primer red paint scheme that was on a lot of German tanks that towards the end of the war they were just rolling right off the assembly line and into battle. They were just primer red, they hadn't been painted, they still had engineer markings on them and white chalk and shit. Been looking for an excuse to do that paint scheme on something, and the Southern Alliance mechs may be that excuse. Now that green lightsaber is just about where I want it to be. It looks a little bit better in person, I think, than it does on the camera, and I think once I take some pictures you'll get a better view of it. But it's mostly white. It's mostly white from the viewing angle that I want it at. With just green around the edges. I need to do more blue on this, or not blue, more white on this blue saber here. Don't know anything about lore these days besides Gaslands, because fuck yeah, death race cars. We had somebody in here just a little bit ago asking about Gaslands. Ren? I've seen Gaslands. It seems like a really cool game. Now, do I glaze a little bit of green onto his head? You know what? I'm going to do a little bit of it, and we're going to see how I like it. I do actually kind of like that. Just a real soft green glaze. Catching the edge of his orbital socket and the top of his head a bit. Again, I feel like the camera... I learned this recently, and by learned this recently, I mean someone on the internet told me, so they can't be wrong, that these cameras tend to filter out green a bit more, but in person that green works a little bit better, I think. I'll get some pictures later, and I think you'll be able to see it better. A little bit of green there, and a little bit of blue on the other side of his head, and I think that's going to really help the sabers. New Coal's a coalition of Badlands, city-states, and remnant Earth troopers who got left behind after Earth retreated. Now, answer me this, Roland. Is it... Oh, it's Commissar Iguana. Is it legitimate for these independent factions to use basically any gear? Like... There are northern gears and southern gears, but is there some wiggle room there? Like, northern gears will wind up in southern factions, or independent factions kind of use a bit of both? Because I wouldn't mind painting a semi-independent faction if it meant that I could do literally anything I wanted, but I haven't looked at the list building yet either, so I don't know. I don't know how that works. Yeah, the endless customization of Gaslands is something that's attracted me to it in the past, Ren. Ren, you play Gaslands? You got some minis that you've painted, some customization that you've done? Because we do a thing here on the stream. And you've been hanging out, and you've been chatting, so I'm going to start making demands of you, because that's how I work. You'll learn that soon enough. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Ren, we're not doing links, but something that we do here on this stream, and we're going to be rolling into it here in probably a little bit, is we do stream review. And what that is on the Thunderhead Studio Discord server, there is a channel called Stream Review, where you can post pictures of miniatures you've been working on, things you've been painting during the stream, things you painted before the stream, just shit that you like, some food that you made, some stitching that you did, really whatever you want. And if you put it in that channel, we will all be able to take a look at it here in a little bit, and talk about it a little bit. And I would love it if you'd put up some of your Gasland stuff, because I'm really very interested in it. You don't even have to stick around on the Discord after if you don't want. Pop in real quick, post your pictures, get some comments, and then tell us to eat a bag of dicks. You can do that if you want. Thank you, Kat. Yeah, no worries. So I'm just glazing a bit of blue onto this side of his head like I did green on the other side of his head. Not a lot of it. Not a whole lot. Just a teeny bit. And really quite thin. It's actually too much blue. I want to hit that with some water before it sets. Thin that out. Get rid of that tide mark on the edge. I mean, Ren is the self-appointed king of Gaslands, after all. Ren, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that, man. I like to think we're a pretty welcoming group overall, at least, you know, when we're not too drunk. So now I've got blue on one side of his face and green on the other, and I really feel like you can't see the green very well on the camera. It shows up a lot better in person. but I like this. I think this is a good look. A little bit of blue on one side, a little bit of green on the other. I don't feel like these lightsabers would cast a glow on anything, but these ones being so close to his head, I feel like that's good. I'll take pictures later, and I think you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Oh, Steiner Miniatures is drunk. Well, at least one person is. Papa Bear with the gift sub. Oh my god, so thoughtful. Do you see that I got an alert set up so that it actually says when it's a gift sub? That's amazing. Red No Ribs done did the posting. I'm excited about getting to see that. Streaming and painting and listening to... Are you streaming right now, Steiner? That's awesome. I mean, I'm going to be going to get something to eat here in just a little bit, so I'm probably going to pop over to Stream Review, and then if y'all are interested, I'm probably going to send you over to Steiner Miniatures, because my homeboy, he's always painting something pretty good. I'm going to be honest with you, Steiner. If Chaotic Harmony were streaming painting, I would pick him over you, but that is just my brutal honesty. I would do that. And I don't want you to be offended by that. It's just that, Chaotic has helped me so goddamn much. But I don't think he's on. And man, you are right next on that list. Like, big time next on the list. I like how late you go, Steiner. I like being able to sit in your chat until like 2 fucking a.m. while you're painting. Yeah, I know, right? It's hard to argue with. You really do. Usually if I'm painting that late, I'm also being, like, particularly, antisocial, and I don't wanna turn my camera on. That and my hair isn't done, I don't look cute or anything. I'm really kind of amazed at how much the camera seems to filter out green. Maybe it's just my screen. Maybe my screen sucks. Can you guys see the green on the side of his head? Because it's definitely there. But when I look at it in the camera, it's not. And, yeah, somebody told me the other day that these face cams, particularly the ones from Logitech, tend to filter out more green so as to help people with their skin tones. Which, I don't know, maybe that's true. Ton of factions you can choose between for Gaslands. My faves are the Highway Patrol and the Miyazaki. Oh, the Tokyo Drift team. Yeah, and one of the things that's attractive... You can see it? Awesome. I'm glad that you can. One of the things that is attractive to me about Gaslands is the 3D printing aspect of it. If you've got like a resin printer and any skill in 3D design at all, you can make your own damn parts and do like any fucking thing you want, which is so cool. I think it's so neat, you guys. You know I love 3D printing, though. Oh, what do I want to do on these lightsabers? Need a little bit more white. A little bit more white on a couple of them. I like the look of that blue saber. I like the look of that blue saber. I like the look of that green saber. This one could use a bit of help. I doubt that, Connoisseur Iguana. I might hit also his shoulders, just on the edges, just with a touch of my glazed colors. Because these shoulders, I think, would also be picking up a tiny bit of color. Really not much. Not much at all. But some. Sometimes when I'm doing a glaze like this, I like to go ahead and dip my brush in water and then in the paint so that what comes off is real thin, because I'd rather have it way too thin than too thick, because that makes it more easily controlled. There, that looks kind of cool, I think. It's pretty soft, maybe a little bit more color. Just a little bit of blue here and a little bit of green here. A little bit. I'm just going to keep saying that over and over until it drives everybody fucking crazy. Maybe on his collar. So, like, if I'm doing it on his face, there's going to be a teeny bit on his collar, right? I don't feel like that's driving it too far, because all of these glows will be visible from different angles. Like, when you're looking at him from the front, you're only really going to see it on his face. If you're looking at him from the back or the side, you're only really going to see it on his collarbone and on his shoulders. So it can afford to be a little heavier, I think. Blue's almost going on too heavy, but oh well. Blend it a tiny bit at the edge with just some water. Just some water. Just don't want any sharp edges. Or tide marks. Oh, that's just a... I don't know what that is. A little piece of debris that got in my paint. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants debris on their model. That's not a thing. Debris painting. Maybe we should make that a thing. Painting with debris in your paint. And being like, fuck it. There, I kind of like that. Oh, you know what? I want to even that green up. Even the green up. Don't have it be quite so off. Just catch the rest of the edge of the shoulder, I think. That would be about it. So this is actually looking pretty cool, I think. Ooh, Heavy Gear has a meme mech. Yay, makeup stream. What's up, Morgul? Blue lightsabers look like toothpaste. Mmm, minty fresh. I mean, you see the blue lightsabers in the movies. They're barely blue at all. They look kind of toothpastey, for that matter. Fetch my finest concrete dust and mix it in. Butt Wheel 500. Yeah, terrain paste. There you go. We're just going to be painting with some texture paste today. It'll be a good time for everybody. A good time will be had by all. I don't like sand. It's coarse, rough, irritating. It gets everywhere. It's not like here. Here everything is smooth. And soft. That is some of the creepiest fucking dialogue in the world. Oh my god, it is the worst. And George Lucas wrote that thinking this is the pinnacle. This is the most romantic thing anyone has ever conceived of. That crazy motherfucker. My blue ended up a little bit thick, so I'm coming in with a lighter blue to define my edges slightly. That'll look better. And a little bit in this shadow on his head. Not a lot. A little bit more white paint over my blade edges, just for my own peace of mind. That could be thinner. Lucas can't write dialogue, and he's average at casting. I would say that he's actually really, really good at casting. His problem is that he has no idea how to use the excellent actors that he cast. For God's sake, he cast Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman is a phenomenal actress. And George Lucas managed to take Natalie Portman, a beautiful woman, with a real talent for acting, and make her come off both wooden and ugly. And that, in many ways, is almost a talent. It's like George Lucas has the opposite of talent. He is the anti-talent. I mean, like, Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, I'm not going to say that Samuel L. Jackson is, like, the best actor in the world or anything like that. He pretty much has the one shtick, and that's being Samuel L. Jackson. But he's good at that, and he's entertaining, and he's a pretty good actor overall. And he manages to make Samuel L. Jackson come across wooden and boring. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you drag Natalie Portman and Sam Jackson down to the level of Hayden fucking Christensen. I don't know. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen numerous times. I've watched those movies over and over again. Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars episode. Fight me IRL. I wouldn't fight you, though, Pixie Wing, because you have the high ground. James Dean James Dean qualities. I'm not seeing that one somehow. Oh God. I like Revenge of the Sith. I think I was saying this earlier, I've become much more forgiving of the prequel movies since the release of the sequel movies. I have come to realize it has helped me define what I like about Star Wars. And there's more of what I like about Star Wars in the prequels than there is in the sequels. By far. The prequels may be ham-fisted and amateurish and childish and infantile and really, really naive at times. But there's heart. You know? The prequel movies have a story, like a real story. It's not communicated all that well every single time. In fact, it's not communicated well most of the time. But it's there, and the sequels don't even have that. They've got a boring-ass story that nobody gives a shit about. I'm feeling pretty decent about these now. About these here lightsabers. Painting lightsabers is hard, you guys. I volunteered to do it. I'm like, I'm gonna go on stream and paint 4 lightsabers. Now I'm like, guys, it's really hard. Don't judge me. Just, be nice. I'm gonna do a couple highlights on his armor just to take a break from doing the lightsaber blades for a minute. I think he'll look better when I put him amongst a bunch of battle droids.
If this conversation gets more about how you feel about something, I'm gonna have to start charging you 50 C-bills per hour so I can listen to it.
But how I feel is what matters. I have a tendency to elevate up and to the right from this current camera angle. I need to address that. Oops. Dude, streaming painting is fucking hard. Like, I try not to sit here and say stupid shit. Well, that's just not true. Why did I even utter that sentence? You guys know better than that. I try not to sit here and utter specifically stupid shit, like, guys, I'm a better painter than this, I swear. But painting on camera is hard. It's a totally different... Not totally different, but it is a unique skill somewhat removed from just painting by itself. And I've gotten better at it since I started. Those of you, the few of you who were here for the beginning of this stream who saw my first painting stream will know that my first one was... Oh, it was bad. It was real bad. I was barely on camera most of the time. And it's taken a whole lot of work and a whole lot of figuring to get to the point that I'm at right now. And even now, I'm still not... I don't consider myself particularly great at it, you know? expand this green just a little bit up his head. I'm liking that color, actually. That green on one side of his head, blue on the other. I think that that's a pretty cool effect. Pretty sure Grievous is missing the 58 arms at the moment, as we are on day 62. Wait, oh. I only recently saw that meme, Pixie Wing, and I was cracking the fuck up when I saw it. It's just Grievous with more and more arms unfolding, with more and more lightsabers in different ridiculous shapes. And it's a delight. It really is. Oh, I keep bumping my microphone. I'm sorry about that, guys. That probably doesn't sound nice. Offered you some alternatives to lightsabers and we didn't take them. No, I've got some tanks from Cyber Knight that I do need to work on. Yep, I go and dub my tutorials to keep them from dragging on because I'm not a narrator of meaningful skill. Well, you know, that's the sort of talent, though, Camo Specs, that you can build pretty easily with a little bit of practice. I think it's harder to become a good painter if you're not one already than it is to become a good narrator if you're not one already. Like this bullshitting that I do, that I sit here and I just talk nonsense for long periods of time, I think this skill is much easier to pick up than the painting. Should I do a... Okay, here's a question for you, chat. You see how I've done the little bit of glazed green on this side of his head and a little bit of glazed blue on this side of his head. Should I do just a teeny bit of it on the lower edges of his eye sockets, or should I leave them? I feel like that might be either a step too far or just right, and I can't decide. I'm leaning towards leaving his eyes alone. Oh, I'm sorry, Pixie Wing. I have links turned off. Though, Pixie Wing, if you want to do me a favor, if you want to share that with us, because I would very much... Oh, that's the atrocity you posted. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to leave them. Pixie Wing, we do a thing here on this stream, and I would be absolutely delighted if you felt like participating in it. Where on the Thunderhead Studio Discord, which I'm sure Kat will post a link to, we have a channel called Stream Review where viewers can go and post pictures, or, I mean, probably links as long as it's nothing crazy. Mostly pictures, though. If you can do pictures or GIFs or embedded videos, that's best. And then, towards the end of the stream, we hop over in there and we take a look at what you've posted, what you've been working on, what you're interested in, you know, whatever. I like that audience participation, and I like to see what you've been working on. But if you felt like popping over there and posting something, I would love that. You don't even have to stick with the Discord if you don't want to. If you just want to pop in, post something, and then, you know, fuck off, be like, nah, fuck you guys, I'm leaving. Like, you can do that too. I don't mind. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna leave his eye sockets alone. Like, if I push the glow any further, it's gonna be too much. It's already quite a bit, I think. I'm gonna do a little bit more armor highlighting. Or not, because that paint is dry. Just here working on killing some monsters. What you playing, Ren? Oh, Monster Hunter. Everybody's been about Monster Hunter lately. You know, that's just not a series I've ever gotten into. Like, I think I see the appeal of it. The gameplay loop seems fun, but for whatever reason, I think it's mostly because it's been on systems I don't have at the time when it comes out. Building paint racks, 3 left to go. Yeah, you are kind of lost in MDF hell, aren't you, White Wolf? mean, it's not quite hell. At least you get some pretty cool stuff built out of the deal at the end of it, you know. Cat, how long have I been going? I don't have my timer in front of me. I was aiming for 2.5 to 3 hours, and I've got these lightsabers. I might do some more touch-ups on these, but these are probably pretty close to where I'm going to leave them. I don't want to push them too much further. I might deepen a little bit of the colors on the edges, but for the most part, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Now, I'm feeling a little bolder on Grievous because Pixie Wing with the follow. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I hope you've been having fun, and I hope you can join us again. I'm probably going to be here Sunday painting, because Sunday was going to be my Legion painting day anyway. I'm probably just going to do more Legion, because that's really where my head's at right now. And I have a Count Dooku that I'm going to work on. Which should be interesting. I like Dooku. I like Christopher Lee, though. Who doesn't like Christopher Lee? Christopher Lee's fucking cool. Was fucking cool. Damn it, everybody's dying. Ah, it's terrible. Who is my favorite Star Wars character? That's a good question. You know, I have an immediate answer for it, though. My favorite Star Wars character is Luke Skywalker. I am a Luke Skywalker guy. I really am. He's who I grew up with. He's the original hero's tale. His trials and tribulations have informed my fictional, my imagination. That's the phrase I'm looking for my entire life. Even as a kid, I was reading the novels that they wrote, the extended universe novels that pretty much got written out entirely by Disney. And so many of them were about Luke and his adventures, and so I just continued to connect with him. And Mark Hamill is a fucking great guy. Like, that absolutely helps. You know, you don't want to judge a character based on the actor who plays them, but if you're going to, Luke Skywalker is a good one to pick. Because Mark is one of the most unrelentingly positive people I have ever seen. Like, I look to him and I think, I wish I could be more like that man, but I'm not. I'm much more negative than Mark Hamill is. IG88, best boy. Ren with Obi-Wan Kenobi. The day that Patrick Stewart goes, I'm taking the day off, man. I feel you, Hethrir. I really do. Sentient Pickle asks a good question, though. Only movies or novels, too? Because, Hethrir, Darth Revan, that's a good answer. We got a lot of good answers in here. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the Lord of... Obi-Wan Kenobi is the sassiest son of a bitch in the entire galaxy. Ren No Ribs, have you seen my Obi-Wan Kenobi? Out of curiosity, I just got done painting him the other day. I'm pretty pleased with how he came out. Get it at the right focal distance here. I'm really very pleased with how this mini came out. Not every detail on him is perfect by far, but considering the pose and like the extra clone armor and everything and the little bit of OSL that I tried to do, I really like how he came out. And I even painted the little mole. You see? There's a mole on Ewan McGregor's forehead. Am I going to do a Darth Maul? Tremere, that largely depends on whether or not we see Darth Maul in Star Wars Legion. Or if Skullforge Studios does a Darth Maul, then yeah, I'll probably paint a Maul. If I had to bet money, I would say that there will probably be a Darth Maul in Star Wars Legion at some point. Like, they've got so many characters to fill out. And, I mean, in the Clone Wars, Maul was, like, a big deal. And they're obviously leaning on the Clone Wars cartoons for their Clone Wars content. Because if you look at Obi-Wan, he's in his Clone Wars cartoon costume. So if I had to bet money, I'd say that there will be a Maul, and when there is a Maul, I'll absolutely paint him. And yes, I will drive myself fucking crazy painting his stupid fucking face tattoos. I'll do it. I will do it for Sam Witwer, and I will do it for Ray Park. I will do it for them. Because those two men are professionals. And ever since I saw them working together at the end of Solo, I've wanted more, and I don't think I'm going to get it. Wedge Antilles, that's another good answer. Dark Lord of the Slick, Lando Calrissian. Adobe Wan Kenobi, available for the low subscription price of 21. Yes. Studio Doctor on Patreon does KOTOR Legion stuff. Ren, I've seen some of that. There's a guy who has a store for 3D printable figures who has done Sith Troopers from Knights of the Old Republic and a Revan, and he's also done... Okay, now Darth Malak I might paint. Because if you were to ask me what's your favorite character from the Knights of the Old Republic era, I would say Darth Malak. I thought Darth Malak was cool as shit. Oh, that unique nickname. You know, that nickname is like, it's really unique. You know, I'm looking at that and I just haven't seen one quite... I shouldn't even. That was a bad joke. That was poorly delivered. Thank you so much for the follow, that unique nickname. It's much appreciated, man. I hope you've been having fun. I wanted to point out, though, that FFG, for their model, for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's out of focus, but let me get him right about here, they put the mole on his forehead. They put the mole on his forehead, and I felt obliged to paint it. I don't know if I painted it well, but it's there. Boop! Right there in the middle of his forehead. For those of you who don't know, Ewan McGregor has a big fucking mole right here. I thought that was cool as shit. I liked painting that. Just like they did the cleft chin on all of Mark Hamill's figures for Luke Skywalker. I gotta say, whoever's doing the faces for Star Wars Legion actually does a really good job. Now, you won't be able to see it until I get him primed, but maybe I can get the light angle right. But even Dooku looks like quite a lot like Christopher Lee. They did a really good job replicating his face. I don't know that I'm going to do a good job painting his face to look like Christopher Lee. I'd like to think of this as an homage to the man himself for the decades and decades of entertainment that he brought to us. I really like to think of it as homage to like him and his friend Peter Cushing. I'd love it if they gave me a Tarkin at some point in this game so that I could paint Peter Cushing. They're classical actors that brought a lot of gravitas to their roles in Star Wars that they didn't have to. Christopher Lee almost classed up the episode 2 and 3 just being in them, which is amazing because Christopher Lee, I mean, he's... What's the word I'm looking for? He's got such... I already used the word gravitas. I'm basically looking for another word for gravitas to describe Christopher Lee and what it was that he brought to Count Dooku, which is particularly amazing because Count Dooku is an objectively stupid fucking name. Let's just admit that. Just right off the bat. Presence. There you go. Chutzpah, if you will. If they do a Tarkin, yeah, man, I really hope they do a Tarkin. I really do. They've got a couple of, I don't want to say non-combatant, but less traditionally combat-oriented characters. Like, they've got Leia, they've, I believe, announced... I feel like they announced a Padme Amidala. And admittedly, they were in combat situations more than Tarkin was, but they've also got, like, Director Krennic is a model they've released, and Director Krennic didn't fucking shoot anybody. I think he swung a pistol around a couple of times, and he shot at the... Yeah, machismo. Did Krennic? I think he shot at the heroes. Okay, Roland, I realized... Yeah, okay. Fair. Calling Leia a non-combatant is pretty fucking stupid. Leia had more chutzpah than most of the men in that film. Leia killed more stormtroopers than fucking Chewbacca. I don't know if that's actually true. I think Chewie probably has a higher kill count. It's true, Roland. I always like the Robot Chicken version of that scene. You know, the one where they're like, oh, there she is, set for stun, and she shoots the guy, and the stormtrooper catches the other stormtrooper, and he's like, he said stun! We weren't gonna hurt ya! Oh, it's funny. She does just blast his face off, though. Alright, let's take one last look at Grievous. He's not done yet. I got some more work to do on him, but I think we made some good progress here on the stream today. I think we're getting the point across. I'm probably going to call him done after a few more highlights and a little work on his undercarriage. And I'm going to do that because I feel emboldened by the fact that I bought 2 of the Clone Wars starter sets, and so I have 2 Grievous models. I'm going to do another Grievous model where he's wearing his cloak and he's holding his blaster pistol, because the blaster pistol is an upgrade you can take in the game, and I'd like to have a separate model for when I choose to do that, because I can, because I've got 2 of them, so why the fuck not? So you're going to see Grievous again, with a cloak and with a blaster pistol. Interestingly enough, the blaster pistol that he is eventually killed with by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Before declaring his own actions so uncivilized. Fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is the grand master of sass, guys. Every time I watch A New Hope, I feel like Vader walking along is like, I sense something. Something I've not felt since... You should look at the people around him and just be like, does it feel sassier in here to anybody else? I mean, is that just me? That sass. All about that sass. I'm a real sass man, you know? More cushing for the pushing. Oh, that's weird. A certain... I don't know what. Oh, wait, I've got that one.
I never thought.
Oh, no, that's the wrong button.
This is where the fun begins.
Oh, this is the wrong one, too. Here it is.
Hello there.
That scene is so fucking crazy. Majin who laughs. What's up, man? How you doing? Majin coming over from McBee, which is where I usually see him. Majin, you got some mildly unfortunate timing in that we are just wrapping up. But if you want to take a look at what we've been working on, I'll show them one more time. I never mind showing off my work, you guys. Even when I don't feel the best about it, you know, I like showing it off. But we've been working on Grievous. What's up, Amax? Amax, have you been here the whole time, just lurking? Or did you, like, fuck off and then come back? Pixie Wing. Are there good space fantasy models like Warhammer, but don't cost $1 million? Well, it's an interesting question, Pixie Wing. Warhammer models are certainly very, very expensive. And they are also very much space fantasy in that they're like monkish super warriors in space with magical powers and bullshit. I feel like playing Destiny, listen to that smooth baby-making voice. It's true. Now, I should probably put a disclaimer at the beginning of this stream. If you listen to my voice for too long, you will become pregnant. Now, I mean, you know, there's nothing I can really do about that. It's just a hazard of being me. So, be careful. Stand up, take a walk every 10 to 20 minutes to avoid accidental pregnancy. But, trying to think if there are any, like, really like how some of them look, but I don't want to pay $120 for a single tank. Pixie Wing, have you considered getting into 3D printing? Because you can 3D print very similar models to what is available from Games Workshop for a fraction of the price. It takes a little bit of an investment to get started in the $200 range for a decent 3D printer, but once you have it, like a liter of resin will go for between $40 and $60, and you'll be able to print out a lot of miniatures like that. That's what I've been doing lately, and I try not to buy Games Workshop anymore. But if you might look into 3D printing, particularly if it's the prices from Games Workshop that turn you off. Yeah, Steiner Miniatures has a good point there. Look into the Maker's Cult, because there are some people out there who make files specifically for 3D printing. In many cases, they're like close enough. They're clearly meant to be used for Games Workshop games like Warhammer 40k, but they're just different enough that they can't get sued. And, I mean, once you have a file for 3D printing and a 3D printer, you can make as many of them as you want. And it's part of what I like about 3D printing. It's like the reason I feel so bold with Grievous here. I'm like, let me try some crazy things on him, because I've got another one over in the box. Well, if I'm painting something that I 3D printed, I can do whatever the fuck I want, because I'll make another one even if I screw it up. I mean, let me see. This Agent Callus from Rebels, this is a 3D print that I made on my Elegoo Mars, and it's pretty fantastic. I've got some, and these are just Star Wars figures, I've got some B-2 battle droids that I printed. I've got some of the Imperial Army regulars from Star Wars Solo that I've printed out. I've printed a shitload of Battletech mechs. I mean, regulars to the stream know that. Let me see, like, I have to have some nearby. Here we go. Printed out this Battletech mech. I've printed out a lot of mechs for Battletech. You can get some really nice definition out of a resin printer. But yeah, if you look into 3D printing, you can open things up a whole lot, and you can make almost anything that you want. And there are a number of Patreons right now that produce models specifically in the style that you're looking for. And they come out with new models like every month. Like, you're never going to get bored with them. It's just bing, bang, boom, one after another. There's a guy right now, I don't know if it's Maker's Cult or somebody else, who just did a bunch of Sisters of Battle. They called them something else. But it's like, for $20, you can get a whole shitload of different versions of Sisters of Battle that look almost better than the ones Games Workshop is producing. I really suggest you look into it. It has changed my miniature game entirely. 3D scanners are on their way for the home office as well. Maddie Meyer, you are absolutely correct. There are some 3D scanners out there right now that are absolutely phenomenal. They have been difficult and expensive to get for the last few years, but if last year was the year of consumer 3D printing, in the sense that printers became truly affordable for the average consumer, I think the next few years are going to be the years of home 3D scanning. More and more those full 360 scanners, and for that matter, not even laser scanners, but photogrammetry has come a long way, where you take a picture of an object from a number of different angles, and then you put that into a program, and the program generates a 3D model based on that. I've seen people making terrain for gameplay out of scanning, like, real things. I've seen people... There was a guy just the other day who was like, he was on a Facebook group, I think maybe it was a Bolt Action one, and he had taken pictures from a number of angles around an old, slumped-over, derelict barn, and he used photogrammetry to generate a 3D model of it, and it looked amazing! It looked really good. Like, that technology is advancing very quickly, and it's only going to get cheaper. It's only going to get cheaper. And it can be a little bit of a turnoff looking at 3D printers and scanners when you look at the initial entry price, because you're like, oh, it's going to cost me like $250 to $300, but you have to understand, you're going to spend that $250 to $300, and then you're occasionally going to spend $50 every couple of months, and you're going to have endless fucking models. And if you compare that to the price of buying models regularly, it doesn't even compare. And I realize I'm saying this as I have a bunch of models I've purchased right in front of me from FFG for Star Wars Legion. Like, this was retail therapy for me. Like, I could have printed all of these, but I just kind of didn't want to. So, you know, little of this, little of that. I think we are going to pop over to the stream review to take a look at what you, the viewers, have been working on and want to share with me. Maddie Meyer, I would love it if you felt like participating in the stream review at some point. It might be a little too late now, but if you have something you want to share, if you've got some models you've been working on lately that you're particularly proud of, if you've got some photography that you've done, something like that, please pop over to the Discord, jump into the stream review channel, and post a picture, because we are about to go into the stream review, and you'll see what we do. It's a good time. Let's check it out. Where's my overlay? Where is it? Kaboom! Maddie Meyer, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that, man. Wolverine DH, who, by the way, you guys, Wolverine, are you in the chat right now by any chance? Do you go by a different name? Because I don't see Wolverine pop up in the chat. But if you are not, yeah, now we just need to learn how to make our own paint. Hey, if only. Yeah, my desktop is 100% retail. Yeah, I know what you mean. I need some retail therapy too. This box of heavy gear was definitely retail therapy for me. The Star Wars Legion is a combination of retail therapy and just wrapping myself in the warm safety blanket that is Star Wars. And, yeah, you know, we'll get there someday, formulating our own acrylic paint. Lord Hethru has been sitting there watching his Ender do things, being mystified every time. I know that feeling. Majin, thank you so much for saying so. I really appreciate that, man. It's always a pleasure to see you, man. I don't know if McBee is streaming later, but if he is, I'll be in there. Oh, I was saying, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Wolverine DH, who, if you do not know, who has posted this picture here, is a very talented 3D modeler. He's been kind of dabbling over the last few months, coming out with some of his own terrain and a number of other files that he's released on Thingiverse. If you are not familiar with him, I recommend that you check him out. He's done some really, really cool stuff. Check him out on Thingiverse, you guys. But he has been painting some Grey Death Legion, and not just mechs. We've got a janky old quad back here. We got some infantry. We got some power armor. I would ask him if these are decals or handmade. I would estimate these are Grey Death Legion decals, but I love this sort of soft tiger striping that he's done across the whole group. I'd love to see these guys on some terrain. I think the Flash Wolverine, if you're hearing this, I feel like the flash actually detracts from the look a little bit. If you work on your lighting, we'll be able to see the models a little bit better, but the paint jobs look phenomenal. I really like the look of them. Just use house paint. It's super cheap, and if you hate yourself and want to be that guy, use automotive paint. And everyone, yeah, just slap some, you know, weatherproof enamel on your model and call it a fucking day. Why not, right? Kursala, do I want to click on this? Why is there a spoiler thing on it? Is it gonna... Kursala, if this is a human genitals or a severed head, I'm going to be very upset. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Oh, no, it's not. What the fuck is happening here? So these appear to be 3D models of the Orion that Kursala has been working on, and they have been positioned in such a way that they appear to be having a fun day at the park. Just running around. This one's kind of jumping in the air. What the fuck is going on? I don't understand this. It's amusing, I'll give you that. It looks like a nice day. Not too many clouds in the sky. The sun has a concerning black halo around it that makes me think perhaps this is the end of days. I don't know. You tell me. Oh, you were testing the spoiler function. Okay. Well, as long as you were just testing it. Your art director helped you paint a picture. Was this done by a member of your family? Was that this? Well, it's cute either way. Ooh, an AC-20 to the face, also known as Play and Win, has been painting a lot of Song of Ice and Fire minis lately. He's been tempting me. He's been tempting me to get into it. We played a game of A Song of Ice and Fire on Tabletop Simulator the other day, and I gotta say, I liked it. I didn't expect to like it. I think that maybe he got me at just the right time, because the memories, the pain of the show has faded a little bit, and I'm able to appreciate that the game seems mostly based on the literature. Here we have Corin Halfhand with his mane of white hair and his sweet-ass mantle. I like the leather color that you're going with on the boots here. Play and Win. Oh, the cloak looks nice. That deep green. The texture on the fur ruff is really good. It helps as a painter having a texture like that to work with. You can get a lot of detail really easily. Corin Halfhand's a great character. Good work, Play and Win. Shadow 31. I'm going to guess that this is and I think I've said this before, and you confirmed it, that you are working on Infinity models. This looks like an Infinity model to me. Doing like some blue OSL out of his eyes, and here... How far along? Those aren't words. Today's work in progress. Need the basing to dry. Then I can dry brush blue lighting onto the asteroid. Oh, it's an asteroid that he's on. Okay. Touch up the line of sight marking on the base and varnish. First time try painting an undertone, adding a base color over except the recesses. Along an impromptu first pass at OSL. Really happy with him. It's a good first pass for OSL. I think you want to pick out in brighter tones the hard edges where the light's really catching. But the color combination is fantastic. I love the orange, the brown, and the blue together. They're really effective. Oh, here we go, and done. Really happy with the first attempt at OSL. Yeah, I can see you picked that out a little bit more and you brightened it around the actual light source. Man, that orange got vivid. Damn, look at that. That's crazy. Mobile Brigade. I'm not familiar with that. Interesting. Colonel Matthew Steiner with a bunch of Game of Armored Combat mechs on the table, plus what looks like a... Is that a Strato Mini, or is that a printed Mini? It looks like the Strato... What do they call it? The Megalodon or Mastodon, whatever the fuck their Marauder is. Well, getting some work done. And then, yeah, we talked about this guy last time, this fucking abomination. I do like the Game of Armored Combat mechs, particularly the Awesome. They really did a good job with the Awesome and the Shadowhawk. Sentient Pickle working on Clan Ghost Bear Beta Galaxy Stone Rhino. Ooh, classic. Supposed to be a brand of Broken Ice, but Shaky Hands giving me problems again, man. I feel that. It's looking pretty good. It really is. Now, this is the sort of thing that a little bit of definition here and there can really bring together, but I like the concept, the idea of having Broken Ice as sort of a camo pattern. Oh, Mobile Brigade is heavy infantry for one of the Infinity factions. Oh, okay, I see Roland. I'm not familiar with anything in Infinity. I've always been a little intimidated by Infinity, I gotta be honest. The gameplay seems so crunchy and so tight that I'm almost scared to get into it. But I've known a lot of people who play it. I printed most of the fails for him. Oh, did you really? Okay, well that explains a lot. It does look really good, I agree, Dark Fox. Puck Duncher working on this board. Now, we saw some of this last time, so now we can really see it coming together now that you've got some texture put down and it's not just the base plaster that you were working with, or the coated foam, rather. Ooh, excuse me, it's been a long day. I'm liking this texturing. It's really see, little details like this right here, and I don't even know if you did this intentionally, but, I mean, I assume you did. This looks really good. This sort of natural way that the dirt falls, a couple of larger rocks mixed in. This looks really natural, Puck Duncher. I'm actually pretty impressed by this. I mean, everybody else I'm just lying about being impressed, but for you, I'm really impressed. Don't tell anybody. No, this does look really good, man. I like it. Need to dry brush a bit and add a border. Yeah, some dry brushing will really, particularly if you vary the tones across, which I assume you're going to do. Clearly you have a firm grasp on topography, but you vary the tones as you dry brush color onto this. And you know what you also might do is consider using some weathering pigments. I've seen weathering pigments used to, just to note, everything is by accident. Well, it's the best damn accident, Puck Duncher. I love this accident. Weathering pigments can be used to great effect on terrain like this. I've seen some people do some really cool color variations with it. Yeah, it's looking good, I agree. Okay. Here's what we were talking about, and Cat posted it. I guess they're adding a new set of arms every day, is that it? And we're up to day 50-something? This is the dumbest shit. Somebody posted a video of this the other day, too. Where it's Grievous shouting a bunch of fucking threats and commands, all the while more and more arms fold out one after the other. Just look at them all. Looks like we got a bolt action rifle in there. We have that atrocious helicopter saber. We have a tonfa saber. We have a light axe. Sure, why the fuck not? There's a light whip somewhere in there. I'm moving on from this. This is terrible. Oh, you put the clip in there, did you? Just finished a Shadowrun stream, very intense. WJ, good to see you. Dex, Mex, Tex, hey man, what's going on? Thanks for popping in. Y'all are popping in right at the end. We are just in the wrap-up phase. Oh, you didn't? Okay. We're just in the wrap-up phase going over our stream review. I have been working on General Grievous today, and I'll if you'd be interested in seeing what we worked on, it'll be available on VOD after... Oh, there it... Oh, God, there it is. I'm thoroughly amused by this. Then he cuts himself to pieces. And he did. I still don't know why in Star Wars they didn't turn off and on their lightsabers to go through their opponents. Like you swing, turn your saber, move it past them, turn it on again. Pixie Wing, I don't know if you're familiar with some of the extended lore. It was not done in the movies at any point, but who was it? Some nerd helped me out. There was a Sith Lord who did that. Exar Kun? I want to say it was Exar Kun. He had a modulator switch on the blade of his lightsaber, yeah, until it decanonized the expanded universe. He had a modulator switch on his lightsaber, and he would flick it, and the blade would continue to exist, but it would just be a harmless blade of light that could pass through anything. So he would swing with it, it would pass through your block, and then he'd switch it back on, and it would become a fully intense blade again, and he would just kill people. Yeah, Exar Kun. I'm pretty sure it was Exar Kun. So you're not the only person to think of that, Pixie Wing, but I confess that if they put that into the movies, like as cool as it sounds, it probably wouldn't be that entertaining to watch. Look at Obi-Wan standing there, just like, what the fuck am I seeing? How many times has this looped? I am thoroughly amused by this. I really am. That's wonderful. Baby Mork, painted by my wife, and Tiny Gork, painted by myself. Now, Space Iguana, Commissar Iguana, the true question, though. Which one's which? Between Gork and Mork. Which one of these is brutally cunning and which is cunningly brutal? Because I'm pretty sure wars have been fought over that very question. These are little 3D printed mini Stompas. They look fucking great, man. I love the kind of... it's not quite cel-shaded, but it's very extremely shaded that we got on the yellow one here, and the crazy red eyes. They look fucking great. White Wolf with the MDF assembly. You really do exist in a hell of MDF right now, man. But hey, you're getting new paint racks out of the deal, so it's not all bad. You have a lot of it. Holy shit, man. I don't even... That's madness. That's madness. Needs more DACA, more shooty bits. Yeah, kind of... I mean, he's got plenty of choppy. And they got a little bit of DACA. We got choppy and we got grabby, you know? Oh, Kursala. What have you done? What is this abomination that you have created? This is like something a clanner would do. Kursala, I am... Normally on this stream, I am able to do nothing but praise the works of Kursala and his artistic genius, but this is a travesty that I'm afraid maybe I can't forgive. I'm upset. I'm upset by this. Deeply, like in my soul. I see the top half of it and I get excited, and I see the bottom half and it's like my soul is vomiting into my self-esteem. And it's just gonna sit there. And it's gonna rot. We're gonna move on from this. We're gonna move on from this. Yes. Yes. Started a new page today. Oh, Girl Geek working on some cross stitch. Sorry, I yelled into my mic a little bit there. Working on Dragonair and Dragonite. I have fucking loved what Girl Geek has been working on. These this is a cross stitch, right? I'm not crazy. Is it something else? I don't know all the nomenclature. But doing the original 151 Pokemon. And this appeals to me greatly because I have to admit the original 151 Pokemon are the only one that exists for me. Like, as soon as we got to Generation 2 Pokemon, I was like, nah, I'm out, I'm done. You know, y'all can have it. But the first 151 have a special place in my heart. Oh, we got, what is this, Omastar over here. You've got the Dragonair up in here. Starting to work on, this is a Kabuto, I assume Kabutops is going to be over in here. I can see Porygon, I can see Tauros. Magikarp and Gyarados. This is really good work. Really cool stuff. I cannot wait to see the completed version of this. Getting thug vibes from... Yeah, he does kind of give you a thug. That is kind of what I'm thinking. He looks a bit like a thug. But... I don't know. The thug is... The thug had to grow on me. I didn't even really like it that much at first. Thug / Cataphract. Yeah, I guess I could kind of see that. Oh, you've been working more on your paint racks, huh? I've seen these. You've been showing these off on your stream. They're pretty cool, Steiner. Like little mobile racks you can use for while you're painting, and these ones that'll take your paint pots and make them more accessible. Of course, my solution to that is to never use paint pots, because they're terrible. Thug life. Wasn't Cataphract a Frankenmech by default? I think it... Roland, wasn't it? Like, I thought the Cataphract was the original Frankenmech. It's got parts of an Avatar in it and a bunch of other shit. Oh boy, from Roland, some new coal late gears. It's small. What is this, a picture for ants? It's a very small picture, Roland. I can't make it any bigger. That's the original size. What have you done? Let me squint at it. Let me see. I can get real close. I like the colors, I gotta say. Does that one have... They have pickaxes, for God's sake? What the hell is wrong with these people? I'm gonna get in the big robot and swing a fucking pickaxe at people. It's either... Maybe that's just crazy enough to work. Game Envy sent me a ton of... Yeah, Game Envy. Those are the guys that you've been working on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, WJ, that the Cataphract is Frankenmech by default. Was it Kursala? Okay, I didn't remember. Hatchetman, Pickaxeman, Mad Max music starts. A gear picks up a fucking guitar with a flamethrower on the end of it, right? I would play the shit out of that game. Oh, I see why. That makes more sense. Oh my god, I loved the Doof Warrior. Okay, now, I did not... Let me just get this out of the way. I didn't like Fury Road. As a movie, I'm not a fan of Fury Road. But that particular dude, I was really a fan of. If anything... the moments that the Doof Warrior was on screen, just shredding that fucking guitar, I was disappointed because the music would be, you know, what he was playing with that big amp truck that he was riding around on with his bungee cords, and then it would cut away to something else going on someplace else, and the awesome fucking metal music would stop, and you would get what is, to my mind, a fairly generic soundtrack for the rest of Fury Road, and I felt like that was a bit of a disappointment. I wanted the Doof Wagon and the Doof Warriors' fucking heavy metal riffs to carry me through the entire movie. And if they had done that, they would have earned a lot more forgiveness from me for a number of the things that they did, which obviously what they need is forgiveness from me. Obviously, that's something that concerns them quite a bit, right? Probably not. Alright, let's get into this. So we have some Gasland stuff from Ren Momo, who was kind enough to share with us. Now, Ren, let me ask you real quick, Ren. Do you own a 3D printer, or are these all parts that you have co-opted from other pre-existing models? I'm looking at the weapon on the side, and it looks like an AK-47 from something. All these look like they could have come from other models, which is fucking cool, by the way. I really love the concept behind Gaslands. Mostly Lego bits. Interesting. Okay. I like the look of it. I like the sort of rough graffiti that you've done over it, and the wire in the windshield. That's really neat. What else we got? We got like a bit of a pseudo-interceptor going on here with the police lights and a couple of cannons mounted on the back. I love the customization you can do. That looks really cool. Oh, we got another. I'm calling them interceptors. I'm gonna call them interceptors. Vergaderung is awake. Vergaderung rises right at the end. We're in stream review. Vergaderung. Part of the Highway Patrol faction, which again just makes me think of the Interceptors. Like, that has to be sort of premised on the Mad Max and his crew from the first movie, right? Because it's the vibe that I get off of it. I like the two cannons mounted on the rear fenders. That's really cool. More from Roland. We have the Peace River Battle Group, some heavy gear. Okay, now we have a picture that's the proper size, at least. This motherfucker has a battle axe. Why did I not know that there were battle axes and pickaxes in heavy gear? Why did nobody ever tell me this? Like, that would have changed my perception of the game, fundamentally. Because if there's one thing I like more than Big Mechs, it's Big Mechs punching and smashing the shit out of each other with fists and axes. Yeah, it reminds me of Twisted Metal. It kind of does me too. That the Gasland stuff. The vibro weapons. Okay. I did not know that I could have axes and swords and pickaxes and shit in heavy gear. I'm more interested now than I was before. I like this kind of blood red paint scheme. Verg, I'm sorry. We got going a little bit of an impromptu stream today. It was mostly just me working on Grievous. I'll be back Sunday though, man. Now, Hethrir showed me this before, and damn, bro. Damn. This is really good. I love what you've done here with the bottoms of the what would this be? I think it's a skirt, but at the same time, I feel like that's a little demeaning. It's not demeaning though. I mean, a skirt is a skirt, right? Romans wore skirts, you know. So this is it's like a man skirt, a big, manly, floor-length skirt. I mean, are you gonna tell this fucking space vampire that he's wearing a skirt? What's up, O'Coral? How you doing, buddy? Skirt, robe, who knows? The Emperor probably knows. But this effect that you've done on the bottom, with the sort of ragged edge, that's really cool. That's really neat. Your eye almost loses the actual edge of the plastic, and it sort of implies that the edge itself is ragged and torn up. And I love this sort of lavender that you've done on the inside of the cape. Also, really nice highlights on his somewhat Dracula... Gary Oldman Dracula-inspired chest armor that he's got with the weird muscle ribs. The sword work is nice, too. All in all, really good looking. That's Dante, right? Not quite a tabard. It's a long chest piece. Let's go with kilt. Mephiston. Pardon. Excuse me. That's right. Never mind. Dante is the one with the mask and shit. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go with skirt. This is a skirt. This Mephiston skirt. Cyber Knight working on his Tyrant legs and bases. For those of you who don't know, Cyber Knight has his own business known as Steel Core Am I getting that right? Metal Core Collectibles, not Steel Core. God, what's wrong with me? I'm confusing every business with every other business. Metal Core Collectibles, he does a whole series of really cool different tanks, modular mechs that are designed in such a way as to play really well in Battletech or be used in a number of configurations for any other system you might play in that scale, like Horizon Wars or anything like that. And he's been working on his Tyrants lately, which I believe we're going to be painting one of Cyber Knight's Tyrants on the stream on the 23rd or thereabouts. That should be a good time. I believe that's in the mail right now. I'm excited to get my hands on it.
To 50 Shades of Coal Gray. And as he pulled his stiff bristles out of my wet fluids, I yelled out, "No, Thunderhead! You need to thin that paint first!"
Why do I let Chaotic Harmony put his voice clips on here? Why do I even allow this? We had a couple. We had a couple, Cat, while you were gone. There were a few. There were... That is the weirdest goddamn thing. I'm amazed anybody sticks around. Oh, and Kursala posting some of his actual STLs. We have the ON1V and the ON1K Orions. Kursala. I'm gonna jump on printing some of these. That's exciting. I really, really like what you've been doing with the Orion. I'm excited to get one of these printed out, printed out, and painted. Two separate things, not at the same time. That's gonna be a good time. Oh, more from Ren Momo. Ooh, I like this. This is a really cool rust effect you've got across the whole thing, too. I like it on here, how it looks like the metal is kind of... Because, you know, rust is a tricky thing to do, but this sort of scoop would be getting hit by things, so you'd have more wear on it, so it would be more bare steel, and you can kind of see that right here. I like the yellow and the black. That's really cool. Considering that, I mean, most of these parts you're just sourcing from other kits. Another one with some vicious spikes on the front and some guns mounted to the side. I like the graffiti that you do. It's rough, but it works in the setting, you know? It's okay, Ren. I mean, you know, nothing's ever my best anything. My best is yet to come. When I peak, everybody on Twitch is gonna feel it. Maybe, I don't know. This is kind of a funny little one. Look at that. I like the double guns on the top with the dual drum mags. That's a cool look. If anybody's got a bunch of Matchbox cars lying around, this is certainly a fantastic way to use them. Vergaderong, first resin delivery in today. I saw you said the other day, Vergaderong, that they had their water-washable resin on sale for lower than usual. That might have just been yesterday. I ordered some of that. I ordered about 2 liters of that. Thanks for noting that. Pixie Wing, holy crap. Where'd you find this? This is fucking madness. It's like a looted AT-AT. This is bizarre. What's the bright yellow? Is that Bad Moons? I feel like it's Bad Moons. I can't remember what group it is, though. Damn. This is fucking madness. Look at everything that's going on. We got a boy with a fucking rocket on his back coming out of a door here. We got like a bunch of them stacked on top. We have another rocket boy over here. They have another name. I can't remember the name of the ones. Bad Moons. There we go. I can't remember the name of the ones with a rocket strapped to their backs. Drops it below 40 today. Ooh, that's rough. I'll check that out, Chris. Yeah, everybody, if you're at all interested. Storm Boys, thank you. The ones with the rockets. Yeah, guys, check out Kursala's Thingiverse profile. He has some really fantastic stuff up on there. I like these gunners over here. What would these be, Ludas? I'm pretty sure they're Ludas. I've never played orcs. I've played against orcs, plenty. Oh, this is fun. There's like little, not balconies, nests, firing points down the legs. What model was this based on? Was this like one of the popcorn buckets from fucking Disney or something? It looks really good. I like the additional guns and all the little details, the barrels and the rust. This is fucking nuts. This takes some imagination. Does it have a tusk on it? Yeah, it does. Oh, you can see it even better here. It's got one big dag-nasty tusk and then some random ass. Oh, and then he's got a sigil, an orc sigil on the front here. And somebody's sticking his head out the top because they put shit all over the front of it. And clearly the leader here. Stomp me closer. I want to hit them with my sword. This is insane. This is absolute fucking madness. And getting the war elephants from Lord of the Rings vibes. Yeah, you get it has a bit of that Oliphant, that Mumakil thing going on. Mumakil is a model that I've been wanting to pick up for a while. The ones that are available from Games Workshop. I might try printing one. Because the actual rules for the Mumakil are very cool. And I do like the Lord of the Rings. Like, I was saying at the very beginning of this stream, guys, that I go through cycles, and that I'm very fickle. And Lord of the Rings is one of the cycles you're going to see me go through at some point. I'm going to phase back into painting Lord of the Rings minis, because I've got a few characters I need to get through. They released a new Eowyn and Merry recently, and I'm definitely going to paint that. Absolutely. Going to post stuff in 3D modeling for people who want more Chaos Marine, Loyal Marine bits, Rendo Ribs. Please do. Please share all of that. Absolutely. That would be fucking fantastic. Thank you so much. It's crazy. What you have posted here, Pixie Wing, is absolute madness. Now, was this, I have to ask, was this you, or is you're sharing somebody else's work, out of curiosity? It's fantastic either way. Nani the heck? Yeah, it is amazing. Okay, you just said, I answered my own damn question by reading a little bit. What do you know? Sebastian Cybulski. It is... See, models like this, they just take... They take vision, you know? You gotta be able to look at it and see in your mind's eye what you want to create. This is really impressive. I like it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Oh, that looks like the end of our stream review for tonight. Let me see, have I got my bing bang boom? I've even got my banner working. It has the right time and the right date and everything. Guys, I will be back Sunday with some more Star Wars Legion painting for you, more than likely working on Count Dooku. So there's going to be another lightsaber coming together, but I'm going to be spending a lot of time trying to get I've been looking at Count Dooku's costume lately, and it's a lot of browns. It's a whole lot of browns. He's got like a brown shirt, and then another type of brown for his cloak, and it's all going to be about getting the right shades of brown. It's going to be an interesting time. But I really want to make it pretty close to the actual costume and not go too bright on any of that. Majin Who Laughs, thank you so much for being here. Ren No Ribs, Ren Momo, thank you so much for everything that you've shared. Pixie, thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing as well. I really appreciate it. Verg, thanks for popping in right at the last minute to make me feel inadequate for not going longer. I value the blows to my self-esteem that you bring. Oh, Coral, I did not work on Thunderskunk today, was almost exclusively working on this guy who you can't see at all because that's the wrong camera. There you go. Grievous, look, isn't it an amazing paint job? Don't you love how fucking dark he is? I was almost exclusively working on Grievous's lightsabers today because I wanted to get those done. You were awake, girl. I'm sorry, Verg. It was kind of spur of the moment. But I'll be back Sunday. Kat, thanks for being here. Puck Duncher, everybody who came out, thank you so much. Guys, you make every one of these streams a wonderful experience for me. I could be sitting here just talking to myself and doing this, but you save me that humiliation every time you come out. And I hope you all have a good time. Let's see who's doing what. Let's see who we're going to raid. I'm pretty sure Steiner Miniatures is going, so let's take a look. And of course, I do not have my dashboard open. That would be far too convenient. And maybe rating will even work properly this time, unlike last time. Who even knows? Well, that's... Stop that. That's somebody else's stream that I don't want to raid. That's... Do people just stream, like, DJing? That seems mad to me, but okay, I guess. That's cool. You go, DJ! Let's see. Who is going? Captain Madlove is going, but, Captain Madlove's painting Warhammer, and we don't do that sort of thing around here, do we? Yeah, Steiner Miniatures is painting. He's probably also painting miniatures, but I think we'll probably give him a pass. You know? I guess. we can go ahead and let that go this one time. Why don't you guys go check out what Steiner Miniatures is up to. He will probably be going for a significant period of time. He has a lot more stamina than I do. A lot more stamina. You know what I mean. I mean that he does longer streams. That's what I mean. I'm not saying anything else. He's usually up till like real late at night painting, which is actually pretty cool for me because I like staying up until like 2 a.m. watching him go. Guys, it has been a fun impromptu stream. I got a lot of work done considering how little time we spent. I will be back Sunday, barring extenuating circumstances, with some more Star Wars Legion. I'm going to send you now over to Steiner Miniatures. Thanks everyone again for coming out. Had a great time. And as always, keep on painting. I'm going to wait a second to make sure that it actually rated before I actually end the stream. It kind of ruins my sign-off, but, you know, we do what we can. Boom! It looks like it worked.